Right now. There we go. Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is a new show. I'm going to be introducing a new YouTuber that I recently met, and I hope everyone enjoys her. I have recently found her by watching a lot of her movie reviews and reaction videos. I was recently watching the movie The Blues Brothers, and I went online to find a review about the movie itself, and lo and behold, I found my guest. Her name is Ashleigh Burton, and I was really surprised to find someone who was really well. She's not. I'd like to bring her on board in a second here, but she was really into the movies that I'm into, which is really cool. And so I really got into watching more of her reviews. Uh, and one of the things that was really fun was I thought was really cool was the fact that when I watched one of her other reviews, it was the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. At the very beginning of the movie, she reacted to one of the people in the credits. They had the name Duty, and I immediately she reacted the same way I did, and I realized that she's someone that I would like to get to know a little bit better. And so I invited her to be on my show so we could talk. So without any further ado, here's Ashleigh.
Hey!
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much for asking me. And I know you just gave this great introduction for me, but which you've watched my videos, if any of your subscribers watch, the real star.
The real star?
Is Beans.
Beans. Yes.
She's actually here. She normally doesn't cuddle, but she's here. So I wanted to take a look at, wow, blessings. Anyways.
So Beans, tell everyone how old is Beans?
Beans is going to be 5 in May. She's our little rescue baby, and she is a hefty 16 pounds. And she chonky here. Come here, Beans. Sometimes when I pick her up like this, she'll fart a little bit. But like she big.
She is very big. I've noticed that. Yes. And Beans is in a lot of your videos, and you reference Beans a lot as well. So
I don't have a life. So
So what I'd like to ask you is why did you start doing the reaction videos?
It came to the point where people, with pop culture, people were making a lot of movie references. And what happened? Star Wars is the biggest one, probably, where I did not get it. And people were so surprised when they would talk, they're like, Luke, I am your father. And I'm like, who's Luke? And why does he have daddy issues? Like, what's the issue here? And so people were astounded. I had never watched Star Wars, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones you talked about. Like, I didn't know who Harrison Ford was.
Wow, really? Wow.
And it turns out he actually grew up and still has a home in a town called Morristown, which is about 45 minutes from me. And they donate like thousands of dollars to his high school theater program every year. And I was like, wow, what a small world that is.
And so as far as the movies, how did you choose which ones that you like to review on your channel?
When it started, of course, it started out with Star Wars references. So that's where it started. And they're like, well, then you don't know who Michael J. Fox is. And I'm like, absolutely not.
Really?
So I had no idea. I had no idea. And I mean, because I grew up with the internet and GIFs, whatever you want to call them, exist. I have seen these things, the Nike shoes with the Velcro that's like, and the DeLorean, I had seen that before. I didn't know it was a time machine. So much so that one time I posted the original Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie, and somebody commented and was like, well, wait till you see Chewbacca and Princess Leia, their sex scene in the next one. I believed them.
I saw that video. Yeah, I saw that.
I believed it.
I was watching your reaction. You took them seriously, and I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. And it's like,
why trust strangers on the internet? I don't know. I learned a lesson that day. And so from then, when people started subscribing and reading the comments, people started suggesting them, and I was like, well, okay, if this is what they want me to watch, then I guess I need to watch it. And then when Halloween rolled around, I had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, like Halloween, Beetlejuice. I had never seen those. I was like, oh, well, this makes total sense. I have to watch these classics. And so it just keeps going from there.
Actually, I gotta say, some of those movies you mentioned, like, I don't think I've ever seen Halloween myself. I don't think I've seen The Thing.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, I watched your review of it, so what I saw was pretty much what the most I've ever seen of that movie.
You gotta
And
watch it.
and what was the other one you mentioned? Oh, The Exorcist. You didn't mention that, but I do remember. I've never seen The Exorcist either.
So. Don't. I was genuinely terrified. But then again, so I have a full-time job, and so I get up at like 4 a.m. to watch these movies. And for Halloween, I was taking the really scary movies and watching them in night vision. So it's 4 a.m. I'm alone in the dark watching The Exorcist. I have never heard of a worse idea. Like, but I did it.
No, I will say, getting slightly off topic on The Exorcist, I have seen some of the scenes primarily because I'm in the DC area, and since that was actually filmed in Georgetown, I've actually been to the actual Exorcist stairs, and it's actually pretty cool. They're still there. Pretty much all of Georgetown has remained unchanged. All the scenes that I see in that movie are pretty much identical. DC doesn't change at all. So,
I couldn't go to those stairs.
Oh, they're pretty cool though. They're actually pretty. My dad took me there when I was much younger, and he told us this is where The Exorcist took place. And I said, "What's that?"
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm glad that you got to see that. I'm never gonna go there. So, no.
Now, as far as the which one? Beetlejuice. That one you didn't like. As far as the movie itself, actually, I actually kind of like that one a little bit. I would say.
Well, thanks for having me on. I will see you later. Why do you like it so much?
No, a little bit. I would say a lot.
Oh, why do you like it a little bit?
A little bit. It's like it's one of these movies where if it's on and there's nothing else on, I could sit back and watch it. It's not like I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. It's just kind of entertaining. I do remember you saying that people get angry at you when they, like, you say you don't like something and they like it. I find that very weird. I've had people do that to me on my videos when I talk about like different video games, and they just start going ballistic. And like I've actually made the unfortunate mistake of actually engaging them in conversation in the comment sections. And yeah, that's a good idea. You don't want to do that. I've gone back and forth multiple times. And I eventually, about a few years ago, I finally stopped doing that. But yeah, it can be pretty aggravating.
And people get real mean. So like the whole premise is the fact that I'm a millennial going back and watching these for the first time. And the first time I experienced like the passionate people was actually with 1960 Psycho. And you would have thought that I personally went to everyone's house and like spit in their face. I was like, whoa. And at one point you see a sink that has two different faucets. I've grown up with one faucet in a sink. I didn't know it used to be cold faucet, hot faucet. Oh. People were lighting me up for that.
I actually caught that as well. I wouldn't have said anything, but I didn't realize you didn't know that. And because I've been to several older hotels where they're still like that, and not very well. When I was younger, we used to go traveling more, so we'd go to like visit, we'd stay at different places. But I have seen that. It's not very. But you're right. It's not very common nowadays at all. But and also the other thing you reacted to bringing that up was it was in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There was a scene where they ran a credit card through a sliding machine, and you looked at that and you said, "What is that?" And I'm thinking to myself, doesn't everyone? I'm not trying to be good, but doesn't everyone know what that is? And it's like you didn't know. And I didn't realize. I haven't seen one of those for a long time, so obviously you wouldn't know what that is. And that's the old way they used to run them through. Because they didn't run them through the credit checks, you didn't have a slider, so you would actually just put the card in those, you'd run it over, and that it would imprint the number onto the sheet. That's why you'd slide it over like that.
It makes sense. So we were talking about the hate comments. Like,
yeah.
People can be really passionate, but the majority of people will explain things to me. And so once that was explained, I was like, oh wait, that makes a lot of sense. That seems like it takes way longer than it should for me, but I had never, because always you just pulled out your card and like you swiped it. Like chips are new to me, new to the realm of technology, but you swipe it and you move on with your day. But man, to have to.
Yeah. I used to work at a gas station when I was younger, and we used to slide them all the time. So anyone that's from that era would know what it is. And I think it was also, did you I can't remember one other movie I think they might have done it, and I can't remember that you saw. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I'm going off topic on that one, but
no, that's okay.
I did want to say though that I did before we started our interview, I did look you up on Social Blade, and you're getting like on average like 130 subscribers per day. It looked like.
Wow!
Yeah, and you're getting like about between 23 and 24,000 views per day as well, which is pretty good. So, and I
never look myself up. Is that weird? I don't.
I actually no, it's not because I don't look myself up because I'm afraid to see if I'm dropping. So I'm afraid.
That's me too. So like I log in and I see the original number point whatever, and I'm like, oh cool, people are still here. Like.
And I'll say that some of my channels have been dropping lately. I have 4 channels that are very popular. You'll probably surpass a couple of them very soon. I wouldn't be surprised. My primary channel, the one we're on right now, is actually doing really good. That's why I'm putting you on this one. So it's
thanks.
Now I did watch. You did have one other video that I watched at the very beginning. Did you take away a lot of your videos? Did you have other videos that were there and you got rid of, or did?
The only one that I have gotten rid of is the one where I talk about where I sold feet pictures in college. That's the only one that I've privated. Other than that, they should all be there.
Okay, because I couldn't tell. It looked like you had. It looked like your popularity went up really quickly, and I wasn't sure if maybe some people have like a channel for a while and they just upload random videos. And you had like one video where you showed yourself with a flying drone.
Yeah,
and it was completely different than the rest of the videos. I wasn't sure if there were other videos that were just taken away because your popularity shot up really fast after that one.
So the drone videos. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, that point you started doing, that's when you started getting into the review videos and the reaction videos. That's probably why. So.
So actually I have a friend, Ken Heron, who on YouTube, he is Ken Heron Photography. He's the one I was co-hosting, and he is drone photography. He's the guy you go to if you want to know anything about drones. And we worked together at a radio station, good Lord, like 6 years ago now. And over a year ago, he reached out. He was like, hey, do you want to co-host the show with me sometime? I'm like, I got time to kill. Like, let's do it. And it was a lot of fun. He runs it just like a radio show, just like this. It's me and him talking. He has drone news, fun viewer videos, like stuff like that. And what's really cool is he ended up gifting me a Mavic Mini, which is a photography drone that has a camera on it. And so whenever he gifted that to me, he was like, the only thing you have to do is make videos with it. Like, that's the only rule. And I was like, aye, Captain. And so I just started, I'm here in Knoxville. And so we have like the Sun Sphere, and the University of Tennessee is really pretty. And so I just started flying to get better at that. And so that's actually my first couple of videos is the drone videos. And on his live stream is where he has a model DeLorean, and he was talking to me about it, and his chat was blowing up like, OMG, I have one too. Where did you find that? And I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and so then the reaction channel started, or the reaction video started. So I still have the drone videos up. I only made like 2 or 3 of them, I think. I still fly. I just never really upload them to YouTube because people, like you said, with your different channels, people come to this channel for that thing and that channel for this thing. And so I never really upload the drone videos to Ashleigh Burton just because people expect movie reviews. It's just a fun little thing.
I guess. Now, talking about other channels, I remember in one of your videos you said you were going to thinking about starting a new one. Is that ever come through? Or I don't remember I remember something about that.
Yeah. So I have not yet, because I have a full-time 9 to 5, and then I do Millennial Movie Mondays on Ashleigh Burton. And so I thought, if I could go full-time creating videos, then I could keep my movie reaction channel and start a second channel. I don't know. Another thing is, so I'm watching all these movies for the first time, right? I didn't have my first steak till I was 20. I rode my first roller coaster when I was 22. I'm very sheltered. And so I thought, I thought the second channel, if you're just now tuning in and you're like, who is she? Then this probably won't matter to you. But like, you take me doing totally normal people things, but doing them for the first time at 26. Like, like I've never been to the chiropractor, which sounds really boring. But like, I'm down. I would skydive. I'm down for whatever.
I honestly don't think too many people have actually been to a chiropractor by your age. Isn't that more of an older person thing?
I don't know, but I love to watch those videos where people crack their back and you like hear it pop up. It's good for me. It's a weird thing. So it never went farther than me saying I could start a second channel. Like that's as far as that idea went.
What would you do on this second channel? Is it just other things, random things, or is it movie related? Or
I think I would start it and see where it went. I don't know. I thought about asking the movie crowd what they would, because a lot of people have told me to react to music for the first time, and I don't feel like that's fair because I've worked in radio since I was 15, all different formats, and so nothing really. I'm not saying that I just know all the music everywhere, you know what I mean? But working in different formats, there's not really a genre that I haven't heard of at least once or haven't listened to at least once. So I don't really feel like that's fair. I would do TV shows because the only thing I've really watched is like The Office and The Walking Dead.
Oh, that would be pretty good, especially if you haven't seen a lot of TV shows. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, I think. Especially shows from like maybe the 60s, 70s, 80s, like you were doing with the movies, that kind of thing.
I'd be down.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Actually, I'm surprised you haven't thought about doing that before. I mean, a lot of people are down. I'm sure a lot of people would like that. You'd have to pick a specific. I mean, I guess a specific episode. I mean, I couldn't imagine watching the whole show. That would be kind of hard to do, and I don't know how you would do that exactly.
And especially with like if it's a multiple season series, if it has spin-offs, like you could get real lost in that real fast.
Yeah.
But I'm open to it. I'm down for whatever.
As far as the I only see I'm looking at your channel right now. I only see the one drone video, so I don't see any others there. Now you said you'd talk about. I'm looking at one of the first sets of movies you watched. That was Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Now the trilogy, of course. Now I think you liked all three of them, right? I remember you saying you liked the third one for sure. That one I remember. That one stood out. The one with the Old West.
Because that was really interesting to me. Yeah, I really liked all three of those.
When the first one came out, now I was old enough. I was to give you an idea how old I am. I'm the same age as Marty was when the first movie came out. In '85, I was the same age as he was as a character. Not Michael J. Fox. So I was about 17 when the movie came out.
Oh, okay.
So I went to see it, and I was like, I was kind of out of touch with reality because I was more like a hippie. It was the 1980s, and I dressed like a hippie, and I had long hair, and actually I had long red hair like you. So a lot of women would come up to me when I was a kid and say that they want to have hair like mine. So, and the boys would often pick on me too much because I had red hair. So
they were jealous.
But I wanted to see him go back to the 1960s, not to the 1950s. And the second, I don't know if you know this, but the second movie originally was they were going to go back to the 1960s, and they were. I
didn't know that.
His parents were going to be hippies, but what happened was they went through all the different scenarios. His parents would have been way too old to be hippies because they would have been above the age of 30, and there were no hippies above the age of 30 during the 1960s. So they went back to 1955 instead.
Wow. See, I could not create movies because mine would just be full of like plot holes like that right there. I would not do that much research. Like, wow, good for them.
And I thought
it makes sense.
The second movie is actually was my favorite for a long time, except I don't know about you, but the end of the movie just kind of dragged on. I don't know how you felt about that. They're trying to get that book. The last half hour just seems to go way too long. I don't know if you knew this, but the second and third movie was originally going to be one movie, and what they do is they released it over a period of 6 months. So one came out like in '88 or '89, and then the next one came out like 6 months later in 1990. So they came out very close to each other. And at the time, when that came out, that was unheard of, because they do that more often nowadays, like with The Matrix. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But that was back in the 80s and 90s. That was unheard of to do something like that, to have a movie come out so quickly, 6 months apart. And the reason for that is because that was going to be one movie, and the original concept was, from what I understand, is the joke at the end of the first movie is you have to do something about your kids, and that's what Doc told Marty and Jennifer, and that was supposed to be a joke. There was not supposed to be a continuation. So when they came back, they had to tell everyone, they had to create a story just for that one line. And so that's why it got broke up into two movies. They originally just wanted to do an old Western movie. And then they said, well, and then they kind of broke it apart and said, well, we'll do the Western and we'll do the 1960s thing. And then they changed it to the 50s. And so they said, this is way too much information for one movie. So they broke it up into two separate movies. And in my opinion, the pacing at the end of the second movie gets really bad. It's just slows down.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the movie I kind of like. And then the third movie, in my opinion, I liked it a lot when it first came out, but it's not like they went back to the old West. It's like they went back to an old movie cliche. It's like they didn't go back in time. They just went back to a movie set, and they're just reenacting movie cliches.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And even I even watched a review by Siskel and Ebert, and one of them said the same thing. It's like they didn't go back to the old West. They're just spouting a bunch of movie cliches that people already heard over and over again. I
never thought about that. You're so right.
And I like it. Well, I liked it when it came out, but as time's gone on, the time has gone forward. I just don't like it as much anymore. I mean, it's not bad. I just don't like it because it becomes kind of silly. But the story itself is, if you ignore all the nonsensical stuff, it's a good movie.
No, I think that Back to the Future is the only trilogy I've done that I liked all three. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not mad at any. Now that you point out that the Old West one is like movie cliches and not necessarily the Old West, I'm like, oh man, you're so right. But I did think it was interesting at the end of the second one, they had a preview for the third one. But it makes sense if they were planning on it to be one movie and then they had to break it up. Yeah, it makes sense.
And just so you know, that preview, because I saw it in the theater, that preview was actually in the theater, the theatrical release as well. So if you're in the theater, you actually saw it. It was like, it threw me off because I didn't know they were coming out with another movie. And all of a sudden they're showing a preview for a movie at the end of a movie. It's like, wow, that's weird. And it really threw me and my friends off when we went to see the movies for the first time.
Oh, that makes sense to me.
No, as far as other trilogies, I got to talk about one other thing, but it's other trilogies. Were there other ones that you didn't like all the way through? Like there's the Star Wars trilogy. Did you?
You know what? Listen, I don't remember all the subtitles for Star Wars, and I am very sorry for the subscribers you just lost by me saying that. But like the first when I watched it, I knew Yoda was a part of Star Wars. All right. So when I watch.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I remember you saying.
I'm like, where's Yoda? It's not Star Wars without Yoda. And then people gave me a lot of crap for that. So I didn't originally like the original kicking off Star Wars. I was just like, where was Darth Vader? Where was Luke, I am your father? I didn't realize like how deep of a story this went. But then when I watched Empire Strikes Back and all that jazz, I was like, oh, okay, it comes full circle. There's Yoda, kind of unimpressed with him. And then people got really upset when I didn't react to Luke, I am your father. But again, with pop culture, I knew that already. So, of course, I wasn't surprised.
Right.
I was surprised when Chewie and Leia didn't hook up. And then I was I was surprised when you found out that Leia is Luke's sister. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was an afterthought, of course. You know that, right? I don't
know.
Okay, in the first movie they kiss, and in the second movie they kiss. Luke and Leia kiss. In fact, I'm sorry, they kiss twice in the second movie. I think once in the first movie. There's like
something like that.
A quick peck, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the third movie, they decided to make her the sister. So that was not preordained. That was not decided from the very beginning. Otherwise, they most likely would not have had them kissing the entire.
Do we know why that changed? Like, why did they go from a romantic couple to brother sister?
From what I understand, in episode 5, Yoda makes a remark. He says that Obi-Wan Kenobi says he's our last hope or something like that, and Yoda says no, there's one other. And originally there was going to be another character supposedly that was going to be introduced that was going to be the other, but they decided to make the other Leia when the third movie came out. So instead of introducing a third character, they decided to make Leia the other one that they were talking about. And so there was a guy who goes by the name of SF Debris, and his theory was that they didn't want to introduce a new character so late on in the trilogy. It would just, there was so much going on in the third movie, they decided to just make Leia the other one that they were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have handled another main character. There are so many people to remember, so many things. And like, I tell you what, talking about people getting like upset is when I would shorten people's names, characters' names, you know, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I got tired of saying that, so I called him Obi. People were like, no! And then I called, you know, C-3PO. I was like, that robot, he's an android! And I'm like, oh,
oh my goodness.
Like, okay, whoa.
See, that doesn't bother me. I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan. That doesn't even bother me. So I'm not sure why people get so testy about that.
Or when, you know, again, another thing is like, you know, I'm a millennial. I grew up with CGI, like graphics being pretty great. And so when I saw Yoda, I was like, I was like, he could have been better. And they're like, it's the same guy who voiced Miss Piggy. And I'm like, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Did you know who Miss Piggy was?
I mean, barely, just because Kermit the Frog is in a relationship with Miss Piggy. And I only know Kermit the Frog because I have a cousin that's super into the Muppets.
Okay.
I've never seen the Muppets, if that's what you're asking me.
Actually, there was a show that came out in the 70s or 80s. I don't remember. It was called The Muppet Show, and just talking about that. And now this show, in the show, that's where they introduced Miss Piggy for the first time.
Oh.
And the interesting thing about you saying that they had a relationship in that show, Kermit hated her, and he didn't want anything to do with her, and he was always running away from her. So it was kind of funny when they came out with the movies later on. All of a sudden, now they were like in a relationship kind of a thing. So. And the Muppet Show, if you ever get a chance, I would recommend it. It's because it's made for adults and kids at the same time. It's not just for little kids. Like the movies came out later were more for kids, but that show was clearly for adults and kids. I think you might like it. So, now I want to talk about the Monty Python movies. You watched 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
I got to say, it seemed I've never seen a woman, and this, I hope this isn't sexist, I've never seen a woman watch any Monty Python movie ever.
I don't think it's necessarily sexist at all.
In my family, to give you an idea, my sister and my mother would never watch Monty Python under any circumstance.
Why?
It's just not their thing. It's just they don't. It's not their kind of humor. My dad, my best friend, who I've been friends with since I was 10 years old. The 3 of us, we're always quoting Monty Python. It's our thing. It's always come across as a guy thing. So when I looked on there and I saw you actually watch 3 Monty Python movies, I was like, wow, that's incredible. But I don't think you like 2 of them. Is that right?
I was confused. Okay, so I am a very crude. You've watched my video, so you know, like I'm not afraid to say a lot of words, and it's gross, but like I'll burp on camera. I consider myself, even Blake, my husband, says that I'm one of the bros sometimes, so it doesn't surprise me that I like them. But I was very confused. So when people were, you gotta watch Monty Python. The very first one at my review, I'm like, this is dumb. This is awful. But I didn't know what.
Wait, hold on. That was the Holy Grail, right?
Yes, I watched the Holy Grail first. But the thing, I don't do any research about the movies, who's in them, what they are. So I thought Monty Python was a person. And in my preview, I'm like, I don't know what Monty does, what he gets into, or, you know, are we going to find the Holy Grail? I was expecting a plot with a resolve and an end. I was not expecting coconuts. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So then once I watched it and people came out in droves to tell me what Monty Python was and that there's not supposed to be a resolve. This is British humor. Once it was explained to me what it was supposed to be, I loved the other two.
Oh, you did? I thought you said, I'm sorry, what was the third? One of them, Life of Brian, and what was the other one? I thought you said the other one you didn't like at all. I guess I missed something on that one.
Oh no. How are you going to quiz me on my own channel? I don't even know. I'm so prepared.
I can't remember now.
I can't remember it either.
And The Meaning of Life. Was it that? I thought you said
The Meaning of Life was just.
That's the one I thought you said you disliked. And
yeah, now that you say that, I remember watching it. It was, is that the one where that fat guy throws up?
Actually, you're gonna hate me for this because I've never watched that. I'm a big Monty Python fan. I've never watched that movie, so I can't honestly say.
Oh my god, I think that's the one where it was just like I couldn't personally, I couldn't keep up with it. Because now that I go back and I think about the Holy Grail, it's hilarious. History of the World Part 1, hilarious.
Yeah, that's Mel Brooks though.
You're so right. Why did I say that? Wow, brilliant. Life of Brian and the Meaning of Life. That's what I mean. Right. Yes, I couldn't keep up with it. And then it was repeated humor that I didn't find funny the first time. So then when it was repeated, I was like, oh, this is old. So the scene I'm talking about, there's this big guy who just eats and eats and eats. He throws up repeated. And I mean, you see all of it. Like, oh God. Anyways. He eats and eats, and then he explodes. And then I just didn't find any of it funny. So then when they repeated the jokes, I continued to not find it funny. Does that make sense? Like maybe it's not a bad movie, but for me, it wasn't good.
It makes sense what you're saying. But the thing is, since I haven't seen the movie, that particular movie myself, I can't actually say, explain why it would be funny. So I'm a little in the dark on how to describe that one to you.
You need to watch it, and then you need to get back to me and say, yes, it's funny. No, it's not. Since you're like a big Monty Python and you have like good memories with it, maybe you really should watch it and be like, I don't know why you thought this was so bad.
I'll have to do that. I watched their show they had in the 60s called Monty Python's Flying Circus. I don't know if you heard of that.
People are telling me I need to watch it, but I haven't seen any of it.
It's the same kind of humor all the way through, like from the Holy Grail. It's the same thing. So there's no resolve. It's just going from beginning to end with a bunch of gags all the way to the.
That's how they, as in the comments, explained it to me. That's like it's just skits put together.
Yeah.
Skit change completely off topic. Skit.
Yeah, and there's Terry Gilliam. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a famous director. He's done a lot of movies. I'm trying to think of I can't remember right off the top of my head, but he was part of their group. He's the only American that was in there. So he did a lot of animation in the show as well. So the animation is if you may have seen GIFs or you may have seen like parodies of his animation because it's so popular amongst Monty Python fans. So if you see the show, you'll see the animation, you realize that's where it came from.
Maybe I need to look that up then.
Yeah.
But now that we're talking about the skits, that's why I remember it in the comments distinctly now that we were talking about their show and how people say it's their skits put together, is because The Meaning of Life, in the comments, people were saying The Meaning of Life is the closest movie they came out with that's similar to their show, which is just a bunch of skits put together. Whereas The Holy Grail, while there's not really a plot and a resolve, it's still one storyline. So is The Life of Brian. It's still one storyline. And now that you mentioned the skits in the show, that's what the comments assumed, or that's how they make sense of me not liking that one, but liking the other two, was because it's more like skit, move on, skit, move on, skit, move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, based on what the show is about, then now I have to watch it now because now you've got me interested in seeing.
You need to watch it.
Now I did want to talk about Indiana Jones. You watched all four?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at your list right now. Okay, you watched them in the order they were released. The Crystal Skull. I know you said you liked that one, and that was the final one. And I actually thought it was okay. I thought it felt fine. I was I was always wondering why people hated it so much, because it seemed to fall in line with the other movies. And I'm not saying it's my favorite by any stretch, but I mean, it felt like more like an Indiana Jones movie, like the first and third one did, than like even the second one, which was what's the second one called again? Hold on, A Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom.
Yes.
That one felt like completely different out of all the movies. That was like it's like the oddball out.
That's how I felt too, and I got roasted for that because the thing, like talking about how you just mentioned, I watched them in the way they were released. That's the same thing I'm doing with Star Wars, because I don't, although I have the option to watch them 1 through 87 billion, I want to experience it the way you got to experience it, which was
that brings a big point that you just said, that the way that and that's something I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad you said that. What you're watching right now, you're watching movies that are not the way they were released in the theater. A prime example of that is the Blues Brothers. There were about, when that movie was released, there was about the version you saw had about 17 or 18 minutes of added footage to it that was not in the original theatrical release.
And it was so long.
That's why. And even John Landis, the version you saw only came out within the past decade or so.
Oh.
So I hadn't even seen it myself until recently, and I was surprised. I was like, I never saw these scenes before. And I saw this. I know that you saw the same version because I saw some of the scenes that were in the newer version. The same with Alien, the one you just reviewed. There's the scene where Chris Christopherson's character,
Dallas.
That's right. Yeah, he's in the cocoon, and that scene was not in the original theatrical movie. That was just a cut scene, so they added that back in. So where Sigourney Weaver comes in and does the flamethrower and burns them all, that was not in the movie. It was basically, if you saw the movie, it was a mystery as to what happened to those two characters. They never showed it. And it was like several years later, they released it as a cut scene. And then I guess now they've actually released it as part of the movie.
What? Now, why would they do that though? Why would they release a movie? Well, like I'm a person that thrives off of resolve, clearly. Why would they release a movie that you don't know what happened to Brent and Dallas?
You don't really need to know. I mean, it's just a mystery that's left out. I mean, if you think about it, what does it really matter? It doesn't really affect the plot. So I guess they felt like, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, they should have taken it out. I'm just saying that if you think about it over the term of the story, you really don't need to know what happens to them, because it's not essential to the plot. I assume it may be because of just time restraints. They needed to cut the movie down, so they said, let's just take this out.
That makes sense.
Now that movie is a movie you need to see at the theater, especially with that jump scare. Where Dallas is where the alien comes right up onto him, and you see the alien come up.
No. When I was editing that, I knew it was coming, and I still jumped.
Like, everybody jumps at that. Everybody jumps.
But what was cracking me up is the comments was like, we love watching people jump when the alien does jazz hands. And now I can't unsee jazz hands. Like, so,
Now, a lot of these movies I've seen, getting on to like seeing them at the theater, I never saw that movie at the theater when it was new because I was too young. But in 1996 in DC, the Uptown Theater, which is a pretty famous theater for the DC area, they had reserved a movie that failed at the box office. It flopped really badly. So what they did was they released a whole bunch of older movies. So the entire summer, the Uptown Theater is a huge theater, and it's got a big screen. And one of the movies they showed was Alien. So I was able to see it for the first time in the theater. And that's why I'm saying it's probably a better, well, I don't know if you want to do that, see it in the theater, but that's why I think that movie would be better in the theater than it is on, just regular video.
I just don't know if I could. I just don't know if my little heart could take it. Like, and that's the thing, is I love scary movies. It can be the cheapest jump scares like we're talking about right now. It could be psychological thrillers. I love to be scared, but I am such a scaredy cat. Like, why? Why do I do that to myself? I don't know.
I was, when I was a kid, I was scared, but I've kind of grown out of it. I just realized it's just all fake anyway. So.
No, absolutely not. Listen, I am a grown person and I am still scared of the dark. So I don't know.
Are you going to watch the sequels to that as well, or?
At least Aliens.
Okay,
I'm gonna at
I
least.
won't divulge anything. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but
Okay, please don't.
I would recommend the second movie. Definitely recommend the second movie. So.
It's not going to be tomorrow's upload, and it's not Monday's upload, but it's the next Monday's upload. I don't know what the dates are off the top of my head, but it's like next week.
Okay.
Next week.
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet. No, I haven't. No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm so excited. I actually have to film that tomorrow morning. I'm very excited.
Are you going to do that with the same with the night vision?
You know, in hindsight, I wish I would have like taken a poll or something and watched Alien in night vision. Should I watch the second one in night vision? I'll do it.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to do it in night vision at all. I don't want to give anything away, but you don't need to do it for the second one. That's why I was asking.
No, I was going to watch it regular.
Yeah, do it regular. Definitely do it. Okay. You don't need it that way. I will say, I don't know. I don't want to give anything away, but the movie is very dark as far as how the imagery looks, as far as how they captured it with the camera. The funny part was I saw the movie when it was brand new, and I was like, this is so dark. I've never seen a movie this dark before. And now everything nowadays is darker than this. And I went back to watch it recently. I was like, wait a minute, this is not dark. This is actually light compared to what they have nowadays.
That's interesting.
It was really weird because I was like, I've never seen, and it's Cameron, John, what's his name? The director, Cameron. I can't remember his first name.
Lord, don't get me lying.
He actually said he purposely made it dark when it came out, and he had to fire a lot of people just to make sure it maintained that darkness. And I think he's one of the first people that ever had that dark atmosphere in movies.
Fire them? Why? You just tell them not to turn on the light. Why you got to fire people?
Because he wasn't as experienced. He wasn't as, from what I understand, he was not as big of a director. He wasn't as big of a name as he is nowadays. James Cameron.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So he, at the time, it was like, people were telling him what to do. And nowadays it's the other way around. He tells other people what to do.
Makes sense.
Another one, I don't know if you've had a chance, one of his first movies is The Terminator.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
In my opinion, that's a really good one. I won't give anything away about that. But that's
after Alien went live, that was a lot of people suggesting Terminator and Predator. And I'll get to both of those eventually, but Terminator has come up.
Okay. Yeah, Terminator, the original one, for sure. I'm not a lot of people get angry at me, but I'm not a big fan of the second one, even though that's very popular. So, but I'm probably one of the few people that don't really like the second one that much. But it's probably only because it contradicts the first one in too many ways, and it's also a rehash of the same plot all over again.
Oh, I hate that.
But they I wanted to say The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Now you like that one, right?
Yeah, it was good. I could see how it was relatable when it came out. Not so much to me now.
Really?
Yeah.
And I mean, so I haven't been in a high school obviously for a long time. So, what is that? Is that what it's not relatable to? You don't think that's like what high school students are not like nowadays?
I guess because my graduating class was 52 people, and 5 of them I was related to. So I couldn't relate to having the super preppy, the emo girl, the bully dude, the nerd, and then just your middle of the road. I personally can't relate to that dynamic. I mean, I grew up in West Tennessee. You were either good old country boy or just existing. So like I personally can't put myself in a situation where I would have all these different personality types. So I was like, okay, I had to suspend disbelief for a little bit and try to put myself in it. And I had a really hard time doing that. I mean, it was a fine movie itself.
Okay. I guess maybe it is. I mean, I guess it is. I mean, for me, it felt pretty accurate. I mean, of course, I was about that same age when it came out. And the other thing I remember you saying, you only had like 50 people or whatever in your class.
Yeah.
And you also commented about the fact that the school had like a double layer, more than one level.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like there's high schools that are multiple stories. Let me tell you. So my graduating class was 52, 53, 52. I don't know.
That was the entire senior year you're talking about?
Yes.
I'm sorry. There were only 52 seniors, right? Okay.
Yep, that was my graduating class. And you're like, oh, Ashleigh, I bet you were top 5 of your class. Absolutely not. The bar was low, but I just didn't feel like reaching for it. Anyways, so so the senior class altogether was 52. The school that I grew up in or went to school at was so small. Our middle school and high school are in the same building. Like, if you were to stand across the street and look at that building, it says South Fulton Middle and High School. Middle and high school. And the left wing, literal wing, is middle school. There's a library in the center. And the right wing is high school.
Okay.
So we maybe have like 700 students in both the middle and high school together.
Oh, okay. Now, see, I could, for my school, I'll give you an idea what I went through. I grew up just outside of DC in a place called Fairfax, Virginia. My school is called Robinson Secondary School. It also had a middle school and a high school, so it had grades 7 through 12.
Okay.
And we had a total of about 3,400 students in the school, and it was a big school. So when I saw that, that really did look like something that would be like at my school. The difference is that
big.
It was big. It was a huge school, and it had each of the grades were divided up into like sub schools. So like one grade would be on the ground level, and like seventh grade would be on the ground level. Eighth grade would be on the level above that, and then it would be there were 3 branches. It was really spaced out. DC is a very large area. Obviously, I think it's the 9th largest market in the country. So Virginia is just part of that. So that's why it's so big. And when I saw the movie, the only thing that looked different was the lighting was awfully bright. It wasn't that bright in my school.
Right.
Other than that, it looked pretty close. I would say it was pretty spot on.
So wait, question. When you're in 7th grade and you're taking classes and you move on to 8th grade, do you not reuse those teachers that taught you in 7th grade?
No, there's a completely different set of teachers. Yeah. we had.
Are you kidding me?
It was a huge school. It was really large. We had we had about the 7th and 8th grade had about 700 students each, and then the grades above that were 500 students each. So 9th through 12. So, then we had a lot of teachers there, and we also had a separate section. You can almost make like a whole building for the home ec department and the shop classes and the automotive classes. It was one building, but it was huge. It would take you forever to walk around the whole school.
Y'all had an automotive section?
Yeah, actually, when I first started out my career, I actually started off working on cars. So I actually took some of the automotive classes, the shop classes. And,
you know, we have agriculture. That's what we have.
Really? Oh, okay.
That's it.
We had a full shop. I mean, we actually could bring in 4 cars at a time and work on it. It was like a regular shop. The teachers would bring their cars in and everything.
That is crazy to me. Oh my God, there's so much education we're missing out on here.
Well, I wouldn't recommend taking auto mechanics,
but I won't know. What if I could have been the next great auto mechanic?
That's true.
And I'll never know.
What?
Well,
the one thing though about the movie, I will say this: when it came out, you talked about how things have changed over time, or we were discussing that. How things I asked you if you thought it was different. My dad saw the movie before I did, and I remember him coming to me and saying, "Do kids really cuss that much in high school?" And I'm thinking to myself, I think the movie came out in like 85. I think he graduated high school in 63, which was only 22 years before. Oh. I'm thinking to myself, that's not only 22 years, and they weren't cussing that much back in the 1960s.
Really?
I can't imagine that. I don't. But he went to a Catholic high school, so maybe that's why. I don't know.
There it is. There it is.
The school I went to was a public school, so. But that's the only thing I remember that was. Oh, and if you're wondering, if I had to pick 3 people in that I relate to, I can't relate to one of them specifically. I'd have to say Judd Hirsch, the nerd, and the girl. I would be a cross between the 3 of them. The one that was quiet, the quiet one.
The emo chick.
What's that?
The emo chick.
The emo chick, yeah. So I wasn't exactly like any of them. I was like a combination of the 3. So
that makes sense.
And the other 2 I could not relate to at all. The jock and the preppy girl. I couldn't. I was like, but we had lots of those in my school. Definitely had a lot of jocks and a lot of preppy girls. I think that really represents my school pretty accurately.
Wow.
As far as being able to pick one out of each category, though, that seems kind of coincidental. You probably get a couple more jocks. You probably get more of one than the other. But it
Mhm.
does. There were a lot of people like that in my school. I definitely think that's pretty accurate.
We didn't have an extreme of anything. We are all very the same in West Tennessee. I mean, you have the people. So again, my school is very small. Like nobody goes on to be like an athlete from my school. Okay, so you have the people who in West Tennessee, it's like you have the people who are wealthy families, and then the people who are not wealthy families. Does that like, and that's your two dividing categories, really, honestly. Nobody stood out as like emo. Nobody stood out as just super preppy. Nobody was really nerdy. We were all, you either had a truck as soon as you turned 16 or like you were still taking the bus. And that was about it.
Oh, truck. Okay, that's more. That sounds like a more of a rural thing.
Oh, it's pickup trucks or nothing, baby.
It was. When I was 13. I bought my first car. It was a '65 Mustang. So,
Ooh,
so I drove that into and from school. It didn't look that pretty though.
I
But
love that.
there were a couple of there were some people that had pickup trucks, but it wasn't as many. It was not a common thing.
Let me put it to you like this. We had and I kid you not, we had a drive your tractor to school day.
Oh yeah.
I wish it were a lie. Did I drive a tractor? Absolutely.
Didn't you say you raised pigs too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I remember hearing that in one of your videos.
I don't remember why I would have talked about that, but that's how I bought my first car, which was an '03 Sebring with a little moonroof. Is I sold pigs from the time I was 12 to I graduated high school.
Was it fun?
It was something to do.
Something to do. So that doesn't mean it was fun though.
No, you bought it. So what it is you buy a little piggy, a little piglet, and you raise it, you feed it, and then I would show it at the fair, at the livestock fair every year. And to go back to high school is the whole school, the whole county during the O'Brien County Fair. We got out of school. Like we shut down for the fair. Anyways, I would go and I would have my little piggy, and you got to give him a bath before the show. And if you have a little white piggy, you put powder on him so he's not shiny. And if you have like a brown or a black and white pig, you put baby oil on it so he is shiny. And then you have a little stick, and you got to keep one hand behind your back, and you got to work the pig around the ring.
Did your piggy have a name?
Oh, they had a new name every time, every year, because they're all different. You got to give them a new name every time.
There was more than one. Okay, I didn't realize there was more than one there. How many did you do? How many did you have?
I would buy 2 a year because once you take them to the fair, they bid on them, and then there they go. You sell them, and then you do it all again the next year.
Are pigs like are they like, people say they're smart like cats and dogs are they would you say the ones you had were like that?
Yes, because they get bored really easily. And so they do this thing called rooting. And so pigs, fun fact, pigs cannot turn their head side to side, but their nose has they can just move their nose. They use it to dig. And so pigs will go around digging for dirt and bugs and whatever because they eat constantly. And they will find where boards are loose, and they'll just keep digging and digging until they can get out. So I mean, they're smart in that sense.
Right.
Can they do my taxes? No.
I spent about 3 weeks on my uncle's farm in Pennsylvania, and he raises pigs. So I got a small idea of what he had large hogs that were like 300 pounds. And those were the breeder ones, and then he would raise the pigs, and then when they got to be about halfway grown, then he would sell them off to be slaughtered. Is that average? Okay, that's about average on that. And the only thing I remember is I would help him feed the pigs, and one day one of the hogs saw me and tried to jump over the fence and tried to attack me, and I was terrified for a second. Then she jumped back in, so nothing happened. But yeah, other than that, they seemed pretty docile. They didn't really seem to have any problems.
Yeah, I've never been attacked by a pig. But I bet you were scared. Like, they're not
Yeah,
small.
that thing was huge. I'm like about half that. I was about 150 pounds. So the big that's twice my size trying to jump over the fence and growling and what I don't remember what exactly she was doing. It was a long
And
time
they
ago.
eat everything. Like, I'm not trying to give anybody ideas, but like if you have a body you need to get rid of, put it in a hog pen. Because like they eat, I mean, they will literally eat through bones and stuff.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, not to be dramatic, but they'll just eat and keep eating it until everything is gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember the smell too. I'm sure. Yeah,
It's a good. It's. But when you sell them, people will come over to the house and, like you said, they got a smell.
Yeah,
People come over like, oh my God, like how do you live with that? I'm like, you know what that smells like to me? Money.
Oh.
Because I knew I was going to get rid of them eventually, so it worked out.
Now, as far as some of the movies, I get back to the movies here. The movies that really caught my attention when I first saw your channel was Caddyshack,
Mm-hmm.
the Blues Brothers, obviously, because that's the one that led me to you. The Gods Must Be Crazy, and there was one more. I thought there was one more. I guess it was mainly those three. Those are three that I would definitely put near the top of my favorites. And I was actually surprised to see The Gods Must Be Crazy listed on there. Um, I don't know if you noticed, but there were apparently like 5 movies altogether. And the guy who plays the little man that gets the Coke bottle,
Yeah, the Bushman.
Bushman, that's right. Yes, he's actually the only person that makes it through all 5. And I tried to watch. I saw the sequel. The third, I wouldn't even recommend the third, fourth, or fifth one because it's not even in English at all. And it's if you want to be, I was like so bored I had to turn them off. They were made in other countries. I think one was made in like somewhere in Asia, and I don't know. The movies just got weirder and weirder. But as far as I forget, did you like that one? The one that you did see? Oh, what was your feeling?
So that movie, when it was suggested to me, my good friend suggested it, and I trust him with all the movie suggestions. And I was like, all right, Jeff, I'll watch it. I've never heard of this. And he told me from the get-go, he was like, not a lot of people are going to watch it. Not a lot of people are going to know what this is. It was weird. In my review, I'm like, listen, you might need a little substance to help you through it. But like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Does that make sense? I don't know. I like it more than I like Beetlejuice.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like it more than Beetlejuice as well.
It was fun. It's very interesting. It's just fun. I don't know.
I find it very interesting that someone is actually even posting that one. Like your friend said, it is very rare. It's like I said, it's definitely one of my favorite movies. So I've definitely put it up there. And that's like I said, that's what lured me into watching what you had there. Caddyshack. That's the next one. I'm looking at the lineup there.
That was fun.
The apparently a lot of them were actually smoking dope when the movie was being made. That was a very common thing.
That's what I read about.
What do you call it? Something's lettuce?
The devil's lettuce.
I've never heard that expression before.
Really?
Yeah, that was new for me.
Left-handed cigarettes?
No, I've never heard that one either.
The devil's lettuce. I can't remember. I think my grandma, I almost said Lord rest her soul. She's still alive, but she is very religious and very reserved. And I feel like that's something she probably said at one point, and I just never let it go.
Okay.
But the devil's lettuce.
I think when I went to that farm I was telling you about in Pennsylvania, it was my uncle's farm. I think he called it wacky tobacco or something.
My dad calls it that.
And he asked me if I said, no, I don't smoke any of that. And he kept on, because I was a teenager, he kept on, assuming because I had long hair that I must smoke dope. And I said, no, I don't smoke any of that.
That's so fun. But see, when people call it dope, my West Tennessee self thinks dope as in heroin.
Oh, okay.
So when people say dope as in the devil's lettuce, I'm like, that sounds weird to me.
Okay.
But I grew up around a lot of heroin. Wait, hold on. My family doesn't partake in dope, but like West Tennessee, that's very prevalent.
Is it really? Oh, okay. I don't associate that in that kind of an area. I always think of it more of an urban thing.
Oh, heroin and meth. Let me tell you, my next door neighbor, well, we lived in the country, so about half a mile down the road, there's this house. and it smelled awful, awful. And one day, it just caught on fire. Anyways, it turned out to be a meth house.
Oh,
So it turns out the smell we were smelling was like ammonia, and
oh, geez, that's pretty strong.
yeah, good times, good times.
It's talking about meth. If you want to talk about a TV show to watch, there's a show called Breaking Bad. If you want to, I don't know if you've heard of have you seen Breaking Bad?
I have heard of it, and I had an ex-boyfriend that like loved that show. I've never watched it.
Okay, but nice
Is it
to get.
good?
Oh, it's good. Oh yeah, definitely. And it has a sequel called Better Call Saul. That's also, I think the sequel is actually better. But yeah, Breaking Bad is definitely something. Talking about meth. That's that's what brought that.
As one does.
No, I don't know if you know that. I hope you. I would. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to watch. But there's a sequel to Caddyshack called Caddyshack 2, obviously.
Really?
And I would not recommend. I would think that the vast majority of people out there would probably say don't watch Caddyshack 2. Apparently Harold Ramis, who directed the first one, didn't want to do it apparently at first, and he reluctantly went in and did it because they were going to do it without him. So he went in and did it, and it's bad. It's just really bad.
It must be because I have no recollection, like in the comments, of anyone saying that there was a sequel.
Yeah, it's probably because it's so bad. No, people don't want you to know about it.
Well, it worked. I didn't know about it.
Oh, and the same goes for the Blues Brothers. There's a sequel to the Blues Brothers as well. It came out. It was called Blues Brothers 2000, but it came out in 1998, 2 years before 2000. So
why would they do that?
I don't know. I don't remember what the reason for that, but it's also bad. It's also pretty bad. I would not recommend it. However, I mean, I'm not really giving much away. It follows the same premise. The reason Dan Aykroyd said it was him and John Landis decided to make the movie not to focus on the story, but on the music. You know how Blues Brothers is essentially a musical of sorts. And the sequel was also a musical. They didn't focus on the story. They only focused on the music. So they brought everyone back to do more musical numbers. And the story is utter garbage. There's no real story. So that's probably why everyone hates it so much. They didn't focus on the story. So with that in mind, they're like, people like he didn't really care. It shows. He didn't, when him and John Landis. I don't know if you know who John Landis is. Okay, he's one of the famous directors. He's known for a situation where he directed a movie during Twilight Zone, the movie in which 2 people died, and one because he filmed a helicopter scene. Actually, 3 people died. I'm sorry, 2 children and a famous actor. I forget the actor's name. He filmed a scene where a helicopter is flying overhead, and he flew the helicopter inside of a structure, not outside. The helicopter came crashing down, and you can actually see it on YouTube. The guy's head gets cut off by the rotor blade, and the kids are basically smashed by the helicopter as it comes down. So, and there was a trial, but he was found not guilty or whatever. I don't remember all what the outcome was. So he's known for, that's one of his what he's really known for. One of the negative things he's known for. In fact, what's his name? Steven Spielberg refused to ever work with him ever again after that.
Why did he think that was a good idea?
I don't know exactly. But they've actually released the movie anyway, even though the guy got killed. The 2 kids were never shown in the movie, so you never get to see the 2 kids that were killed. But the part of the movie that he was in is there, except for the part where he gets killed, obviously. So,
why were the kids there if they weren't in the movie?
Well, I mean, what I mean is they left that scene out, is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Twilight Zone, the movie has 4 separate segments. It's like what they do is like each segment's like about 20 minutes long or so, and it was just one segment out of the whole movie. So, yeah, and it was pretty well publicized. Also, talking about the Blues Brothers. I don't know if you caught this at the very end, but Steven Spielberg makes a cameo at the very end of the movie.
I read those comments, but I didn't know what he looked like.
And he's pretty small too. I didn't realize how short he was.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch it. But everybody was like, she didn't react to Steven Spielberg being there. I'm like, well, you can't react to something you don't know there.
Like, don't feel alone there, because I didn't know for several years that it was him either. I mean, I watched the movie several times, and one day I looked at the closing credits and I saw his name was in there. I said, "Who was he?" And then I went, and I had to go. I had to watch the movie and go, "Oh yeah, that's him, isn't it?" And
I need to go back and watch that then.
I'm sure you probably. Well, I don't know if they told you, but he's the guy that he writes the receipt. They have the $5,000, and they have to.
That's him?
Yeah, the one that writes the receipt. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What?
And if you pause the movie, I didn't do this until just recently. If you pause the movie, the receipt that he writes out says August of 1979. So I guess the movie is supposed to take place in 1979, even though it came out in obviously 1980.
Oh, well.
Just a stupid trivia thing I thought I never knew before. But
No, that's interesting. Never would have paid attention.
But there's other cameos as well. Miss Piggy is in there. The voice of Miss Piggy.
I was gonna say I did not see her in there.
The not the actual puppet, but the guy who does her voice, Frank Oz. He's the guy at the very beginning that when John Belushi is being checked out of prison, he holds up these soiled prophylactic.
That's him? That's Miss Piggy?
That's Miss Piggy.
That's Yoda?
It's Yoda too. Yes.
Oh, he doesn't look like I thought he'd look like.
Oh, that's like, oh well, working in radio, I'm sure you probably get that as well.
Yeah.
I get that.
No, you're so right. Weird.
As far now, I hate to say this. I know you're going to get angry at me and probably disconnect this connection here, but when you watched Hocus Pocus, I kind of phased out a little bit.
Wow.
Who's the woman? I can't remember her name. The woman. Oh.
Wow. Which one? Bette Midler?
That's it. Yeah, I cringe whenever I see Bette Midler. I can't stand Bette Midler.
Why?
I don't know. It's something from I don't know what it is. It's just every time I see her, I just run away. I just don't want to see anything. I don't want anything to do with her. And so when I watched your review, but I was like cringing every time she came on the screen.
Wow.
I don't know what it is about her. I wish I could tell you what it is, but there's just something about her just makes me just want to run away.
Looking at my numbers right now, I think that might be my least watched movie review. I'm looking at views, right? I think it might be my least.
Well, your live videos are a little less than that.
Oh yeah, that too. No, oh my goodness.
But yeah, as far as your movie reviews, yeah, it looks like it is.
What? Okay, so you watched the review. Did you stick around to watch me be Winifred Sanderson?
Oh yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That was cool. Yeah, but as far as Bette Midler, it has nothing to do with the character. It's just her. I don't know what it is. I will say this: she was in a Lily Tomlin and her did a movie where they were twins. I can't remember what it was called. They were, and actually, for some reason, I actually like that movie. That's probably the only one of her movies I actually like. I have to look that one up. But yeah, I know I'm repeating myself. She just makes me cringe.
No, I do like Lily Tomlin. I haven't watched any of her movies, but I watched the Netflix series Grace and Frankie, and I liked her in that. So I hope I like her in movies.
See, I'm not familiar with that. Is that new?
It came out maybe 2 years ago, and it's Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin are the two main characters, and they're married. They are famous guys. Their husbands, they are famous guys. One of them was the main character on The West Wing. They're famous guys. I don't know them. Anyways, they're married. Well, their husbands end up leaving Grace and Frankie for each other, but then they all remain friends.
Okay.
Anyway, I like it. It's a fun little show about Grace and Frankie figuring out how to be strong, independent women.
Is it still on? Is it? I mean, they're making new episodes. I mean, it's not. They haven't concluded yet.
I don't know what's happened with, 2020 and how a lot of things halted, but yeah, they came out. Their most recent season dropped early 2020, so there might be another one coming soon. But no, I think they're still in production.
Okay, well, maybe I can check it out.
It's fun.
The talking about how I don't know what you're talking about here. I find it funny that you don't know these older movies. I suffer from the same thing, only with newer movies. From 1997 forward, I was focusing so much on my career that I actually lost touch with a lot of the modern movies. And it wasn't until like the past 5 years that I started catching up on some of these movies that I'd never heard of before. So from basically for like maybe a period of like almost 20 years, I never watched movies. I never went to the theater. And so like I would drive by, like I was going to work in the morning, I'd drive by the local theater and I'd look up at all the movies that were playing. I would look at it, I said, I have no idea what any of those movies are. And so like you with the older movies or movies in general, I guess, I would like I, the newer movies is like I have no idea what are these movies. That some of them would have like like the number two, like it was a sequel. I was like, really? I never even heard of the first one.
So like what's something you're just now discovering that's relatively recent?
It's been a thing for the past 5 years. So I've been catching up over the past 5 years. So like I did watch recently the kind of the Hunger Games. No, you don't know. Okay.
I mean, I know Jennifer Lawrence, and I know that, but like I don't know. I haven't watched those either.
Okay. So I watched those. They're okay. I thought they were fine movies. They're more for young adult movie. You know, they call them young adult dystopian movies. There was several. There was also one called The Maze Runners.
Never heard of that one.
It's a very similar concept. And then there's one called Divergence.
I know those were books originally, right?
Yes, they were. Yes. I didn't read the books though.
Oh, me either. But I think my brother was really into the books, and so then he was super into the movies. That's the only reason why I know that exists.
And then there was another one called the Fifth Wave that failed at the theater. Oh, there was talking about the Fifth Wave. The woman that was in that, she was also in a movie called Kick-Ass. Have you seen that?
No.
Kick-Ass is the R-rated movie, and it's not politically correct at all. And it's unlike a lot of movies that make them politically correct. That's actually a pretty good movie. I would recommend that one. Kick-Ass. It has a sequel that's almost as good. It kind of lacks a little bit, but it's
Kick-Asses or Kick-Ass 2. How'd they choose to name the sequel?
I think it was Kick-Ass 2. I don't remember. It's a good movie though. But that was a movie I hadn't heard of. I watched it one day. I was like, wow, how come I didn't know this? It came out like 6 years earlier. And I watched it like around 6 years after it came out. I was like, I never heard of this thing before. And
so
it was
have you seen like A Quiet Place?
What's that?
A Quiet Place, the movie that came out maybe 2018, maybe early 2019. The suspense A Quiet Place.
Oh, I never heard that one. No.
John Krasinski.
Oh,
it's good. I watched. That's all. I don't. It's like it's a suspense, and the whole premise is it's called A Quiet Place. Don't watch it in theaters, which it's out now. But I made the mistake of going. It came out the same time as Avengers Final Endgame.
Oh, see, I've never watched any of those.
Oh, me, I don't know anything about that universe. But the only reason why that stands out to me is because there is no dialogue in A Quiet Place. There is no verbal dialogue. But I say absolutely not. There might be 4 sentences of dialogue. The rest of it completely silent. So
what is that? Explain that. How does that work? Is it like how does that work? I mean, I'm not worried about spoilers or anything like that.
Okay, so and I don't think this really gives it away. There's a family, John Krasinski, who is Jim from The Office, and his wife in the movie is famous, but I can't remember her name either. Anyways, you have mom and dad, and then 3 kids, and the daughter is deaf in real life and in the movie, but what happens is there's these monsters, creatures that took over, and they have supersonic hearing. So they can hear underground, they can hear through walls, all that jazz. So you cannot speak or they will come and kill you. So the entire movie, the only time they can talk to each other is when they're in their house, in their basement, underground, and even then it's whispers. And so that's the whole premise. And the movie starts out, they're going on a grocery run. You don't see any other people than this family the entire time. It's assumed that most of the population's dead. They go to the grocery store or the market or whatever. And the youngest boy looks to be about 3 or 4. And they find an airplane, like a little toy airplane. And they're like, sure, you can have that, whatever. Well, the kid finds the on switch. And so the movie starts out with this like 4-year-old getting eaten alive. Anyways, it's just a movie about how you gotta be quiet or you get killed.
Oh, so but I mean, so there's the part that interested me was the no dialogue aspect.
Hmm.
So was it mostly the score that was leading the plot, or how did that work?
It's it's uh it,
With the camera work?
it's it was beautiful. The camera work, in my opinion, was, oh, Bean scared the crap out of me. I didn't know you were here. um Honestly, for which this came out almost 3 years ago now, there wasn't a lot of loud scoring, but just the fact that like the monsters can hear you move, you step on a twig, you're donezo. So when the monsters were around, you had to be completely still, completely silent, and they communicated through sign language. And so you have subtitles at the bottom of the movie, obviously. And yeah, I recalling it right now, it would have to be the score and making sure that you're quiet. And the mom she's pregnant. So how do you have a baby with no medical, it's just you guys, and to stay quiet like, how do you bring a baby into it? Because they're not the quietest creatures. Anyways, they end up getting into the house, and then it brings more of them. It's driven by the daughter who is deaf, and so she doesn't speak at all,
Mhm.
having to get the baby to be quiet, and then they end up having to, the house floods. There's things that happen that forces them out of their basement and into the world where the monsters are. So you couple that with having a baby.
Well, I guess my primary, I was just wondering how they drove the story with all this silence. I mean, was it done well? I mean, as far as, do you think they got it across? I mean, the reason I'm asking because I've watched movies that have no dialogue at all. And there's a movie called Koyaanisqatsi from 1984, I want to say. Another
Mm-hmm.
one called Baraka from 1994, which came out 10 years later. John Frick was part of both of those. He's a movie guy that does visualizations. There was no dialogue in either of these movies, and they're like an hour and a half long,
Wow.
but there's no plot. And it's hard to just, you can't, you'd have to watch them to understand what I'm talking about. It's something that needs to be seen to be understood. It's just visualizations mixed with music all the way through. Even Ann Marson, who's the woman who I've been doing a show with recently on my channel, she was in a movie, and that's how I found her. She was in a movie that was did something similar. She did a dance movie in 2011. It was called Girl Walk All Day, and she's the main character of that movie. It was an independent movie. It wasn't like a large production, but
Mm-hmm.
and she danced throughout the entire, and there was no dialogue, essentially no dialogue throughout the entire movie. And it's just her dancing. It tells a small narrative as she goes along through while she dances throughout the entire, like several sections of New York City. And when you described this movie, you said there was virtually no dialogue. I was wondering how they conveyed that, because in these movies it was done pretty well. The movies I'm talking about, but it was different though. It wasn't the same kind of idea. It was, yours had an actual story that was being told. These more or less had like a narrative that was being. It
Mm.
wasn't like a specific plot that was being shown. And the other movies, the ones from the Koyaanisqatsi, it's just more or less just giving you visualizations of the world and mixing with music.
Oh,
So it's, if you've never seen it, it's different. It's definitely different. It's
no,
something
that's really interesting, especially when you say there's not necessarily like a story.
right. It does convey a sense of the world around you and what's there. And some people may see something in there that's kind of a narrative every
Mm-hmm.
so often, but it's not like, it's definitely not a complete story or narrative of any kind. So, but anyway, what you're describing is a little, obviously not exactly the same as what I thought it was originally.
No,
That's all.
now that you're asking me what drives the movie, I have no idea. Like, like trying to recall it. I remember like key things that happen, and I remember how it ends. But honestly, like recalling the transitions, I don't remember them. I don't
Well,
know.
overall, would you say it's a good movie then? How would,
Yeah, it was just, I felt like even in movies that I don't necessarily enjoy that I've reviewed, I'm really able to suspend disbelief and put myself in it, even if I don't necessarily like it. And so I felt the need, like watching A Quiet Place, whenever the monsters were around and I felt the need to breathe quietly. Does that make sense? I felt the need, and like when she was giving birth in the bathtub and the monster was coming up the stairs listening, I cannot relate to having a baby, but I'm like, oh girl, how you gonna do this? They
But it's basically you were engulfed. I'm sorry, I overtalked you. I'm sorry. Say it again.
No, they ended up sacrificing the baby, but then they got the baby back, and it was like a whole thing. Yeah, I have to put myself in these movies to really appreciate them. So maybe like without the dialogue, some people might get lost and decide that there's not really a driving force. But I like to try my hardest to put myself in it, and I'm like, oh, how are we going to do this?
Yeah, and that's something that you said just now that I remembered about your videos, is you're watching these movies and you're picking up on every single little detail that's going on. And I've watched these movies before, some of them a few times, and you pick up on a little detail. I was like, oh, I've never seen that before. And I don't remember. I can't give you a specific instance. I just remember we were watching. You'll say, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at. I was like, wow, I never even saw that before.
I don't know why
you're so engrossed with what's in the movie. I mean, you really capture everything.
And people hate on it sometimes because, like, for ET, I didn't like ET.
I don't like ET either.
Thank you. But anyway, people were like, at the end, I'm like, I didn't really like it. Like 3 out of 5 stars. I'm only respecting it because of the staple it is in pop culture. And people are like, well, you laughed at this part. You were upset when you thought ET died. Well, yeah, if I'm going to sit down for an hour and a half and watch something, you best believe I'm going to try my hardest to put myself in it. You know, like give it a fair shot. I'm going to give something a fair shot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Talking about ET, I know this is going to change the subject slightly, but a lot of people will probably mock me for this. There was a video game called ET the Extraterrestrial that came out when the movie came out, and a lot of people consider it the worst game ever made. And that's actually for that period, that's actually one of my favorite video games that came out. So I'm like one of the oddballs when it comes to that video game. I actually like the video game. I don't like the movie. I actually like the video game itself, though.
Came out on what? Nintendo or
the Atari 2600.
Oh wow!
Let's see. I can bring it up here and I can show you what it looks like.
Oh yes.
But a lot of people say is the worst game. Even Steven Spielberg himself said it was a horrible game. Apparently it took like 6 weeks to produce. Hold on a second. I'm bringing it up right now.
They made a whole game in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Well, this is back in the. Okay, here we go. I've got it.
Like, how do you even do that?
Well, these are back in the. This is back in the 70s, so or 80s. I'm sorry, 80s, and they knocked them out so fast back then. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find someone who has a decent gameplay here.
Which I've never played an Atari before.
Oh yeah, you're not really missing anything on those. Can you hear the sound on there?
Yeah, I hear the sound.
Okay. I'm going to bring it up right here. It's easy to bring up. Just give me a second here.
No problem.
Yeah, let's see. I have to go through a little menu here to bring this up. 1 second.
Well, and actually, on the topic of old games, I was talking. Oh,
it should come up. There we go.
Oh, that ET! Stop.
There we go. That's kind of a squished image, but you can see. They play here. Let me bring the sound down a little bit. Now, someone brought out that this is one of the first games to ever have an intro screen, or it might even be the first one to ever have one. I'll jump ahead to show you what it looks like. Okay, ET comes down. Here's a.
That is ET?
That's ET right there. Now, the goal of the game, there are only 6 screens altogether, and he moves around from screen to screen. Okay. Now, that's an FBI guy. The FBI guy keeps on... the goal of the game is to find all 3 components to make his phone so he can phone home. And those black spots, those big blacks, there's 4 of them. There's 2 long ones and 2 smaller ones. Mm-hmm. Those are pits that he falls into.
Oh no!
And that's where he finds the parts to make his phone. It's kind of hard to see it. Let me go back. There's a speck on the screen.
Yeah.
Right there. I'm pointing at it with the mouse. That's a Reese's PC. That's supposed to be a Reese's PC from the.
Hold on just a second. On topic, but not. You say Reese's Pieces?
Yeah, that they don't make those. They don't. Do they make those anymore?
I call them Reese's.
Yeah, I thought I always called them Reese's Pieces. Like they rhymed.
Reese's Pieces rhymes.
Well, kind of, not really, but it sounds similar. But how did you call them?
So the big ones, they're Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Reese.
Right.
I had a guy I went to high school with. His name was Reese.
Okay, that's right. That's what I call them too. But any other ones call them? Go ahead.
Reese's?
Reese's Pieces. That's what they were called back in the 80s. That's right. In the movie, when you reviewed the movie, you called them Skittles.
Yeah, I thought they were Skittles.
Yeah. But do they make Reese's Pieces anymore?
Yeah, they do. You just say it different.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Okay, sorry, I got distracted.
Anyway, that's what that is. That's one of those little, whatever you want to call them.
The Skittles.
The Skittles. We'll call them Skittles. The FBI guy, what he does is he keeps on trying to take E.T.'s phone parts, and eventually he'll try to capture them. Anyway, let me jump ahead a little. Okay, there we go. So he falls into those pits, and he has to elevate his head to come back out. And what you have to do is you have to keep on going through all the different screens till you find all three components to find his phone so he can phone home. The problem is when the character comes back up, watch this. This is why people hate the game so much. Right there, when he comes out, when his head comes back down, he oftentimes will fall back into the pit. People get frustrated because they can't get back out of the pit. They keep on falling back in.
Oh, that makes sense. That would frustrate me as well.
And here's I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll just jump ahead. There's another screen, and there's another screen. Those are the four main screens. You just had to, wrong one. This one. That's not coming up. There it is. You just had to search all these pits until you finally found all three parts. And once you find all three parts, I'll jump ahead. Oh, wait a minute. I can show you there's one of the pieces. There it is. So that's one of the pieces of the phone he has to collect. And of course, it really doesn't have anything to do with the movie, because in the movie, he didn't fall through pits trying to find the...
No, you're so right. Oh, wow.
Let me jump ahead a little bit. Where is it? There's another screen that shows where the FBI guy and there's another character that Elliot is in there as well. Elliot will come if he dies, he'll revive him. He gives like 3 lives. Okay, that's the FBI. No, it doesn't have it on here. Sorry, I can't show you. But once he gets all the pieces back together, he has to wait for now, if you look at the top of the screen, there's a little E. That's the phone. There's a little counter on the top right there. That's letting him know when the spaceship's going to come and pick him back up.
And you just hang out until it comes back?
Yeah, the problem with the game is that the scientist and this other character, that's the scientist, and the FBI guy can't be there when the ship comes, or it won't appear.
Oh, I see the issue now.
Yeah, it made a lot of people frustrated. I think this... Okay, the ship's about to come down. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so he made it.
And then that's done? That's it?
Yeah, there's Elliot at the top of the screen. So anyway,
that is something that existed.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of people hate that. I'm actually one of the few people who actually liked it when it came out. So, and there was another game called Adventure that came out at the same time I also liked. But anyway, talking about the movie, I don't like the movie, but I actually like the video game.
I can respect that. That's fine.
What exactly was about the movie you didn't like? Hold on a second, I'm trying to jump ahead. Was there anything more? I mean, I know you talked about it, but I mean, was there anything else? I know the one thing that a lot of people have a gripe with is Steven Spielberg, in the fact that a lot of his movies don't often have a fatherless family.
Oh.
That's been brought up a lot. Same with Close Encounters of the Third kind of, because the father leaves the family at the end, and he a lot of people have complained about that. In fact, I didn't even catch on to that at the very end. I was like, I watched the movie within the past couple of years. I was like, at the very end, it's like, wait a minute, he left his family, left his wife and kids. And I looked it up on the internet, and a lot of people said the same thing. They were complaining about it. It doesn't really bother me, but I was like, what happened to his kids and his wife?
What does he had the opportunity of a lifetime to go on an? What do you mean? He would be so dumb not to go.
Well, a lot of people complained about that. In fact, Steven Spielberg supposedly even said that if he had done the movie today, he would have done it differently. So they
Yeah, listen, Beans, I love you, but if aliens come down and they're like, "Come with me," I got to go, girl. Like, I gotta go.
okay.
What?
And also the version of the movie you saw is also a modified version as well. That's another one where there were scenes added in. I don't know if you know that in 1978 the movie came out. 1980 they came out with Steven Spielberg came out with a newer version that changed the ending. The version you saw, was there, did he go inside the ship and then did they show the aliens inside the ship?
Only saw the aliens outside of the ship.
Oh, okay. Maybe you saw the older version then. Okay.
I never saw the inside.
Okay, the newer version, he goes inside the ship and he's elevated in this little platform and he sees all the aliens. There's like thousands of them. And they're all
No.
Oh, okay. So you probably saw the older version then. Okay. And what he did is he added "If You Wish Upon a Falling Star," which is like a Disney song, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And you
that's
wish upon a star. That one?
yeah, exactly. That was actually, if you listen in the newer version, he added that to the score. So when the ship is flying away, you hear that song being played during the closing credits.
Why?
I don't. It's just what he wanted to do. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. That's a good reason, I guess.
That theme, I didn't even catch on to that theme. Like I said, it's not a big deal to me, but he does tend to have movies where his. Let me bring you back up. Sorry, I can't see your face. Okay, there we go. Where there's a fatherless family, and I after a while I started to realize, yeah, that is right, and that's not a big deal to me. But apparently, he didn't have a father in his family, and people start to say that maybe that's why he does that.
That makes sense to me because I feel like a lot of people bring up in Disney how the princesses usually end up not having families at all or missing a family. There's also, and I don't know if this is true, I think I read it on Facebook once, so it has to be true, is that like Walt Disney, whenever he was a kid, accidentally killed an owl or something, and then he felt so bad about it, and that's why like all these Disney princesses and characters have an animal sidekick because he felt bad about it. I mean, so I don't know if that's true or not. But I can see how that would influence one's artistic style because you want to see you want to be relatable. You want to feel relatable. So, I mean, if that's what he grew up in and that's his reality, not to make it deep.
Right. Also, his other movie you watched, how many of his did you watch? You watched Jaws?
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really good. The thing I love about that movie is the camera, how the camera captures everything so well. I mean, everything looks real in the sense that because modern day movies are so artificially colored and so much CGI. I watched that movie. I'm not talking about like the scenes with the shark because I know a lot of them were mechanical, but the actual scenes of the ocean, the beach looks so beautiful. It captures that so well. And I was thinking to myself, how can a movie that's done in 1975 look so realistic and a movie today looks so fake? You know, modern day movie, not all of them, but there's with the colorization, and it was so beautiful. And it's like the other thing is, I don't know if you know this, but he actually filmed that out in the ocean. Whereas most movies, they don't go out into the ocean to film them. They actually
the swimming pool, like
yeah, he actually took that was all done out in the ocean, like way out in the middle of out in the Atlantic. So
wow.
So, and he said it was the worst thing, if I remember correctly, he said it was one of the worst things he ever did. He would never do it again. He would just, do it in a more closed environment, whatever, like maybe, like you said, like a pool, or maybe like like a lake or something. But
very brave.
One of the things I do remember is that they said every time a boat came by, they had to stop filming, and because there's so many boats out there. There were a couple of scenes where there were real sharks used, and what they did was they used a miniature tank like the cage scene where the shark gets caught in Richard Dreyfuss's character is in the cage down below. There's a shark comes in and gets entangled in the cage. That's actually a real shark at that scene. What they do is they created a miniature cage, and it's not a full size shark. It's like a smaller shark.
Huh.
So but most of the scenes you see with the shark are actually the fake one.
I
And
did not know that.
if you look at that scene, you can see it really is it looks like a real shark. It's swimming around. It gets caught in the cage, I think. I don't remember the scene exactly.
Yeah, it busts through the metal.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend the sequels, by the way, to that one. They're not
That's
that good.
what a lot of people said, that it's awful.
There's also one, the final movie they made was called Jaws: The Revenge, and a lot of people say that's the worst altogether.
This is a little bit like Sharknado.
The shark comes, another shark comes in, and they have to battle the shark, and supposedly it's coming for revenge for the other ones that all died. And
sometimes you just gotta stop.
yes, yeah. They were trying to milk it. Even Roy Schreider, the guy who's in the first two movies, they wouldn't come back for that one, so they killed his character off.
Well, good for him for standing up for what he believes in. Like,
so how many Stanley Kubrick movies did you see? Just The Shining?
I guess so, because I don't. Is he the director?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Okay. And you liked that one, right? That was one that you really liked.
It was, because in Halloween's, that was like the first, really the psychological aspect. I feel like that was the first psychological thriller I watched.
Okay. The Stephen King, apparently, from what I understand, did not like the movie, so he recreated it like 20 years later, back in the 80s or 90s, I think.
Really?
Yeah, so there's another version of the movie that's out there.
I did comment how, like, I didn't understand the ending when Jack Nicholson's character ends up being in the picture from like 1921.
Oh yeah. What did people say about that? Did they give you an explanation? Because I don't think there's supposed to be one. I think it's supposed to be left up to your whatever you want to think it is.
Because I asked, I'm like, okay, is this like a haunted hotel that, like, once it drives you crazy and you kill yourself or something happens, like, is your soul there forever and you're just constantly added to this party picture? Nobody ever gave me any kind of conspiracy. Nobody ever really answered it.
I as far as I know, it's left up to your own, like I said, your own feelings. I don't know. I've never really, I remember seeing it. My interpretation was that he became part of the ghost world, and the people in the photograph were all the ghosts that were living there, and he just became part of their world. And so he was shown in the picture being part of their world now.
Well, and that makes sense to me because, as he's descending into madness, he runs into the previous person who had his job and all that. So yeah, I guess that's my consensus I came to as well. Once that hotel, like, drives you crazy and you're kaput, like, you're just there forever. So I guess the next person who had that job, Jack Nicholson's character, would come back and play a role in that person's descent, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, if you like that one, I would recommend a lot of his other movies as well. So, in fact, I would probably recommend the 1963 Doctor Strangelove, which was one of his early movies. I won't tell you anything about it, but it was a movie of its time. So if you watch it, you have to keep that in mind, that it has a lot of current events in that movie so it wouldn't really match up with today's with everything that's going on nowadays.
Okay.
So it's made for the era that it came in, that it came out in, is what I mean.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
I don't want, like I said, I don't want to give anything away, because I'm sure you want to come, if you watch any of these, you want to come out them, blind. So, to speak. So, and then he also came out with one called Full Metal Jacket.
That's come up a couple times in the comment section.
Okay, all of it, as far as every movie I've seen of his, are about the same as far as like likability for me. So if you like The Shining, you would probably like those two as well.
Are they all like psychological, like The Shining was, or are they all thrillers, or does he branch out into comedy? Or
no, it's pretty much the same. I mean, it's different. It's a completely different story, though. It's not the same story. But yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. I put in the same kind of. I mean, it's not like, I don't want to give too much away. That's why I'm kind of trying to dance around this. I mean, they're not all thrillers per se. They're not,
Okay.
yeah, it's not a suspense. It's not like a spooky movie thing,
Okay.
So, I don't know if you did you want to wrap everything up, or did you want to talk some more? I don't want to keep you on
So much pressure.
we're on the 2-hour mark. That's why I didn't want to, I wasn't sure if you want to keep on talking because I had a few more things.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's keep going. I'm here for whatever.
Cool. I guess I should bring it up because I know I was going to bring up eventually the Die Hard, whether it's a Christmas movie or not debate.
Yes. I have gotten a lot of comments. I say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie because Bruce Willis's character would have never gone to Los Angeles to see his wife had it not been Christmas. So that was a driving force in the movie. Christmas movie.
Okay.
Lethal Weapon is not a Christmas movie. I understand that it takes place around Christmas. I understand that dude goes over to other dude's house to have Christmas dinner. I get all that. But Christmas was not a driving force in that movie. Therefore, it was not a Christmas movie.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you saw this recently. This was very recent. I'll try to bring up the article here so you can see it. The director of the movie has made a confirmation whether or not it is or is not a Christmas movie.
Die Hard?
Yes. I'm trying. I forget his name. Hold on a second. I have it written down. Hold on a second.
No, that's cool.
John McTiernan. John McTiernan. Hold on a second. I'm trying to bring up the article so we can read it at the same time here. Give me 1 second.
I'm nervous.
Oh, I can't bring that up over there. Hold on. Anyway, do you want me to tell you what it is? What his
Sure.
Okay, well, you'll be relieved to know that he has confirmed that it is in fact a Christmas movie.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
Hold on, I'm trying to bring it up here.
Because I say that Gremlins is not a Christmas movie, and I got lit on fire for that because I understand that Gizmo is a Christmas present. And you would think that's a driving force in the movie. I disagree because Gizmo could have been a birthday present, an anniversary. I feel like they used the Christmas present plot as a way to introduce the character, not necessarily as a driving force. So
I'm going to jump off topic just once again. Gremlins. You asked the question in Gremlins if they eat something after midnight. That you said wasn't it midnight? Isn't it always after midnight? And they answered that question. Believe it or not, they actually answered that exact question in the second movie.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. The second movie is if you see the first, you got to see the second movie. A lot of people, it's completely different. It's not the same style of movie. It's done by the same people, but it's done differently. But they answer that question, and they answer a whole bunch of other questions like that as well. I don't want to give too much away, but if I can't tell you, I want to tell you, but I can't tell you.
I didn't know that was answered. Nobody said that in the comments, or at least none that I saw. That is, oh my God, I need to watch it now.
It's like, it's more or less, well, you see, it's answered kind of, but they bring it up and then they kind of answer it in a way. So it's not a direct answer.
Oh.
I can't give, so I don't want to give anything away. Because if I say too much, you'll give away too much about what the movie is about.
Oh man, because my whole thought process, don't feed them after midnight, but all the hours keep happening.
Yes, and I want to add to that, but I can't add to it because I'm giving too much away.
Oh, I'm so torn.
Okay, here's the article right here. I don't know if you can. Are you able to read that? It might be too small.
No, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. The first line right there. Go ahead from the Hallmark Channel's Christmas Fair and fire up Die Hard because the film's writer. Oh, this is the writer. I thought. Okay. Has confirmed that is indeed a Christmas story, right there.
I mean, hey, the person who wrote it says it is, so I believe it.
Wait a minute. This is an older story too. Okay, this is the writer. Okay, this is different than the one I gave you. I brought up the wrong article. It doesn't matter, but this confirms that both the writer and the director are now saying it's a Christmas story.
Good. I feel justified in this then.
Now I have to completely disagree with you though. I do. See, I wanted to bring all that first and let you know that I think it's not a Christmas story, even though they're saying it is. I'm going to say it's not. And you want to hear my version of why it's not?
Sure.
In my opinion, the reason it's not a Christmas story is because Christmas is needed for the plot to work. I want to bring this back up. It's in order for the building to be vacant or as vacant as it was. What time of the year does it have to be in order? If you did that any other time of the year, there's bound to be someone inside the building. But at Christmas time, there's not going to be anyone there. They're going to be at home with their families. Mm-hmm. So when they go into the building, the only people that are there are the security guard and the people having the party. Mm-hmm. So in that case, for that reason, they make it Christmas so the building will be completely vacant. So it services the plot in that way. So that's my interpretation as to why it's not a Christmas movie. Also, I saw the movie when it was brand new in the theaters, and it came out in the middle of summer. And at the time, absolutely nobody said it was a Christmas movie. That was more of a recent phenomenon that came out within the past decade or two, maybe 10, 15 years at the most. It came out, if I remember correctly, it came out in June of 1988. It was hot. Nobody thought it was Christmas. And the only thing I thought was strange, I didn't even think about Christmas throughout the entire movie, except I did think it was odd that they played a Christmas song during the closing credits. I was like, this is kind of strange because it's the middle of summer and we're watching a movie that has a Christmas song at the very end.
Christmas in there. It's been Christmas in that world. Going by your logic, yeah, the building was empty, and the only time it would have been empty was because it's Christmas. Therefore, It's a Christmas movie.
Well, it's just that it was needed to be Christmas so the building would be empty. Otherwise, it could have been done any other time of the year. It didn't need to be Christmas except for that reason, is what I'm saying. So it just serviced the plot to make the plot make it more believable that the building would be empty at that time. Because any other time of the year, there's bound to be somebody inside the building, regardless of what time of day it is. Someone working late, someone doing something. And in order for the building to be completely vacant, except for the people that needed to be there, Christmas would make that happen.
Unless, hear me out, they could have went to the plot by it's a brand new tower, whoever just opened this brand new tower, and they were there celebrating this wonderful, beautiful building that hadn't opened yet. So all they had was security guards and the people having the party, the big wigs. So they could have done it by that plot, but you would still need Christmas to get Bruce Willis to Los Angeles.
Okay, but did they say it was brand new in the movie? I don't remember that.
No. That's what I'm saying. Is you're saying it's only Christmas because that's the only way that the plot could have moved forward. I'm saying they could have approached it by it's a brand new tower. This multi-billionaire person was opening this company, same plot, except a brand new headquarters when Alan Rickman's character was like, You know what? Honestly, now that you said that, I'm questioning whether or not it's a Christmas movie. I'm too easily swayed.
And like I said, the thing that really did it was more or less because it came out in summertime. It was really hot. And in 1988, I can honestly say I don't remember anybody ever even hinting that it was a Christmas movie, even in the slightest. We just realized Christmas was there, but we didn't care.
And that was
even like there's this thing they call Christmas in July sometimes.
Yeah.
This wasn't even July. It was still before that.
They tried. A for effort.
So did anyone else, you said other people were disagreeing with you in the comments. What did anyone else say anything in particular?
I don't think anybody really elaborated other than the fact that it wasn't like a heartwarming, fuzzy, your traditional Christmas. You know what I mean?
Like It's a Wonderful Life.
Right. Yeah. Or Home Alone. People were just saying, no, Christmas movies aren't supposed to be blood and gunfire.
Okay. In your reason, I'm sorry, what was your reason again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. The reason is because Bruce Willis's character would not have been at the tower had it not been for him going to see his wife. And the only reason why he was there seeing his wife to stop Alan Rickman's character was because it was Christmas. So it had to be Christmas in order for Bruce Willis to go. And Bruce Willis was there to stop Alan Rickman only because it was Christmas. Had it not been Christmas, Alan Rickman, whatever his character's name was, would have been able to blow up the building no problem. But because it was Christmas and Bruce Willis was there.
Doesn't that kind of like validate what I said? Is it like it's just there to service the plot?
But if it's important to the plot, wouldn't it make it a Christmas movie?
But it's not that important to the plot, though.
You know what? Honestly, listen.
I'm gonna tell you. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
You hurt my feelings with Bette Midler. All right, you redeemed yourself with not liking E.T. We are back. We are back. We are back at Bette Midler status.
Bette Midler, okay.
Yes, we are back with me not liking you because Bette Midler, you redeemed it with E.T., us not liking E.T., and now we're here with it's not a Christmas movie.
Well, the funny part is, that's something I don't really care. I don't. It's like.
Oh, I mean, hey, me either. I'm just here for a good time.
I just think it's so funny that people actually go and debate it. That's what I always thought. Even I think the writer at one point in time thought it was like ridiculous.
Oh, there's honestly, this blew my mind. Is on Instagram, I'll post the thumbnails. Posted Die Hard, and my little notifications started blowing up. And I go, and there are two strangers to me, and I assume strangers to each other, going back and forth about family traditions and whether or not, dude one watching Die Hard with his dad to kick off the Christmas season versus this person over here that's like Die Hard is not Christmas. Anyways, it went on for a long time. They took it very serious. And here I am just like, there was a Christmas tree. It's a Christmas movie. It's not that serious.
How many Christmas movies you watched Scrooged as well? Mm-hmm. That's definitely obviously is a Christmas movie. Something you said about that movie, I can't remember what it was now. But a lot of people say that Bill Murray in that movie played the character too much like he did in Ghostbusters. It was almost the same character. And that was a complaint that when the movie came out, from what I remember. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't honestly say. I did watch a review, but I don't remember. I do know that in that movie, both of Bill Murray's brothers were in that movie as well. They played minor roles.
Really?
Little trivia, yeah. His younger brother was one of the people at the party, and his older brother, Brian Doyle Murray, who also wrote Caddyshack, was in there. So
I did not know that.
In fact, Brian Doyle Murray, talking about Caddyshack, played the head of the shack itself, the head of the Caddyshack. He was the one that was like,
that was his brother?
That's Brian Doyle Murray. For some reason, he has a hyphenated last name. I'm not sure why, but the guy, and his younger brother, I can't remember. He's not very well known. Brian Doyle Murray is known because he's been like doing other things in movies. I think he had something to do with Groundhog Day, the movie as well. I think.
Oh.
So, have you seen that one?
No, but it's coming up for February.
Oh, okay. There's another one. Well, some people probably won't mention this. There's a movie called 12:01 p.m. It's a short movie that came out prior to Groundhog Day, and a lot of people who've seen it, like me, say that Groundhog Day copied from 12:01 p.m. the concept. So if you ever want to see 12:01 p.m., you could look that up. It's only like it's a very short movie. It's only like 24 minutes, 25 minutes long.
Wow. Okay.
And it stars the dad that was in that 70s show. If you're familiar with that 70s show.
Yes.
He's the main character in that movie. So.
I don't know his real name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was also in the movie. RoboCop. Anyone suggested RoboCop to you?
A lot of people have suggested it. I haven't watched it yet.
RoboCop is different, yeah. But as far as Scrooged, did you like Scrooged? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was good. It got slow in a couple parts. And honestly, you bringing up him playing kind of the same character in Ghostbusters, I wonder if it's because, if you are given character notes to play like a hard ass, non-emotional, you get upset, like maybe that's his interpretation of those adjectives. Does that make sense? Like maybe if, I would probably play that character totally different than Bill Murray would, but if he's given that same persona, then maybe that's just how it is, and maybe that's how it turned out. But I did like that movie, mostly because Bill Murray could get it, but it's a good movie.
Oh, the final ghost that he meets, the woman with the silly voice.
Yes.
High-pitched voice. She was in the TV show Taxi, and at the time the movie came out, she was pretty well known. I don't think she's as well known anymore.
What's her name? Carol.
I can't remember. I think Carol something, but I can't remember.
Carol something. The only reason why I know who that was is because she is the landlord in the Netflix series Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason why I know who she was.
And the other two ghosts, the cab driver was a singer, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't recognize him.
What was the other ghost? I know there was the ghost that was his partner that came back and told him he would see the three ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one?
He was just a skeleton. I don't think he ever talked. He was like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, I don't think he ever talked.
And I know you liked It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I don't know if you caught some of the scenes that they paid homage to in Back to the Future Part 2. There were scenes from in Back to the Future Part 2 that were homages to It's a Wonderful Life.
Really?
Yeah, the scene where Marty goes to see his father's gravestone, that's a homage to that movie. And they was done on purpose. I don't know if you know that. The Back to the Future, the original movie, they paid homage to the 1960 movie, The Time Machine. And it was blatant. There was a lot of references to that. You probably haven't seen that one. But yeah, but you have seen obviously these two movies, Part 2 and It's a Wonderful Life. There was at least one other scene. I can't remember. But because What's a Wonderful Life is kind of like a time travel movie in a sense, because he doesn't really time travel, but they have an alternate reality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they were going with, because Back to the Future 2 was an alternate 1985. So It's a Wonderful Life was an alternate version of what his life would have been like. That's why they draw the correlation between the two movies.
That makes so much sense to me. I never thought about it.
Yeah, and if you watch, there are people that have made comparison videos on YouTube. You can see how similar they look.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh, I remember there was a scene, when Marty makes a revelation in the same. Also, I love What's a Wonderful Life. I can't remember Jimmy Stewart's character. I can't remember his name in the movie. Anyway, there's a scene where Jimmy Stewart he does this panning where he looks from left to right, and the camera's right on his face. Marty does the same thing in Back to the Future.
Oh.
And it's like they both realize that something is wrong. They've realized that their world is wrong, and they've come to that revelation. That's a definite homage right there.
I'm gonna have to look up some videos comparing the two, because I did not think about that at all.
Yeah. Now, as far as It's a Wonderful Life, I don't. Do you know about the whole thing about how it why it became popular in the first place?
Mm-mm.
During the copyright for the movie ran out. So nobody owned the copyright to the movie, so it went into the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
So during the 1980s and into the 90s, it was literally on all the time during the month of December. And I remember you could actually turn the channel and watch it on 3 or 4 different channels at the exact same time, and it was always on. It was the weirdest thing, and people would make jokes about how it's just always on. And what happened was they wanted to stop doing that, so they went in. They found out that the story still had a copyright, and that the score still had a copyright. So they laid copyright claims on both of those. So now it's only shown twice during this, I think NBC shows it during the month of December. That's it. They won't show it. But it was ridiculous during the 80s and 90s. It was unbelievable how often the show was run. Like every single channel would just run the hell out of it, and because of that, it became immensely popular. If it wasn't because of that, it probably wouldn't be as popular as it is now.
I did not know that. Honestly, I had wondered why it wasn't public domain, but I figured somebody had just rebought it. Wow, that's crazy interesting to me that it just sat there unattended for so long.
And then the other thing was, if you looked in the TV guide, do you know what a TV guide is? Chance? We used to be able to buy the TV guide, and you could actually see what shows were coming up they would list it out. And if you looked in the TV guide, you could see like a scale, not a scale, but a listing. It was just listing. It was just everywhere. It was like over and over and over. It was like unreal. But it was the same thing I've already discussed. But It's a Wonderful Life on channel, in DC, it was like channel 5, channel 20, channel 16, channel 50, everywhere. Anyway, I'm kind of repeating myself now, but the ironic part is that the because of that, that's why it became so popular. But it's also because of that they finally decided we need to put a cap on this and try to make it so it can only be shown very, very seldomly. When the movie came out, it wasn't very well received. It's one of those movies. It's like The Wizard of Oz. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, it was not also. It was also not well received, and it became popular as the time went on.
Huh.
So, trying to think of any of the other movies you saw or not real. I don't remember off the top of my head. There is a correlation, kind of, between E.T. and It's a Wonderful Life. The Mr. Potter
Mm-hmm.
is the real life actor is his last name is Barrymore. He's the grandfather of Drew Barrymore, who played the young girl in It's a Wonder and it's E.T. You know, the famous actress.
Okay, because I mentioned that in the review of It's a Wonderful
Oh,
Life. I see it pop up, and I'm like, is he in a relation to Drew? And then people in the comments were like, yes. Like, I thought I was making a clever joke, but
yeah, it is. He's related to that, and apparently it's really funny. Is in real life he was a very nice person, but he plays such an evil person. It's not the he actually worked with Jimmy Stewart to make sure he got the main role of that movie. Apparently.
Oh, that's cool.
The other thing that's in the movie is the money at the end. He never gives back the money. No, I don't. Not too many people bring that up. Some people do. Actually, some people do bring that up. The money that the forgetful.
Yeah, the forgetful uncle.
Yeah, he keeps.
Think about that.
So there's a Saturday Night Live skit where they actually show them coming after him and beating him up so they can give the money back. So
that is hilarious. I did not even think about that. You're so right. He never does come back.
The also A Christmas Story. Gene Shepherd. Did you mention anything else by Gene Shepherd? Gene Shepherd was the narrator of the movie. He was a radio guy. He worked for many years, and he would often come on the radio and tell stories like that. So that was his story, and he was able to narrate it just like he did on the radio.
That's cool.
He had actually done, if you could call it a prequel, the year before on PBS he did a TV show where he did the same thing. So not too many people talk about that. So I always thought of A Christmas Story as a sequel to that PBS show because it's called something on the 4th of July or something. I don't remember the exact title. But anybody that's in radio, it's like, like you and I, it's always kind of cool. But
I'm gonna check that out then.
Yeah, he's but he relayed the story the exact same way. I mean, from what I understand, I never actually listened to him on the radio. It was way before my time. But he was he tried to do it exactly the same way.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Let's see. Yeah, some of the movies I never saw. Is that you?
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. I'm a professional. My phone was definitely on silent.
The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh my god.
That's a movie I've never seen. I may have seen one of its sequels. I think it was like the 5th one.
Why would you do that?
I was with a friend or something. I was friends. They said, "Want to go see a movie?" I say, "Yeah, okay, let's go see a movie." And so we saw it. But in the movie, I watched your review. I thought, now this is how much I don't know about it. I thought he burned alive, and that's why he was all scarred like that. Did they discuss that in the movie? Movie? Oh, they did. Okay. Maybe I missed that part. Okay.
When the daughter, I can't remember her, whatever, the girl who's like, I'm having these bad dreams, and all her friends are dying around her. The mom takes her down to the basement and is like, well, he was a janitor who, anyways, was like creeping on little kids. And she talks about how one day the parents in the town went to the boiler room and set it on fire.
Oh, okay. So did they actually show him catch on fire, or
it was just her telling the story?
Oh, okay.
But they never talk about, or at least in the first one, they never talk about why he comes through dreams. It might be discussed in sequels because I haven't watched any of them, but in the original, they never talk about why he comes through the dreams.
Okay. This is kind of, I don't know if you've ever heard of V, the original miniseries. It came out, it was a TV production, but it had really high quality. In that TV show, I would actually recommend V if you have a chance to watch it. It's a 2-part miniseries. It came out in 1983, 83, I think, or 82. But I wouldn't watch the sequel to it. There's a sequel, it's not as good.
Oh no.
But in that miniseries, the guy that played Freddy Krueger plays another character who's like a nerdy character, a really nerdy, quiet character.
Hmm.
And he played a skit somewhere one time where people remember him for that character versus the character that he played as Freddy Krueger. And he's like, he's angered. It's a joke, of course. But he's angered, like, they don't remember me for that role that was so big. They always remember me from V instead. So
that's really funny. That's really. Now I'll tell you something. Have you seen Friday the 13th then?
No. No.
You haven't?
I'm trying. No, I've not. No, I've not. I'm trying to remember. No, I've not.
No. Okay, so I started off the Halloween series watching Halloween, and in my preview, I'm like, okay, I know there's the main three: Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you the difference at the beginning. So Friday the 13th rolls around, and I know that it's Jason, right? I am dead set that it's Jason. I'm like, yep, this is it. Anyways, I spend that whole review talking about Jason. When are we going to see Jason? In the original movie, it's his mama. The mama is killing people.
Oh, I don't know if maybe I missed that review of yours then. I might have missed that one.
It blew my mind because I was like, why is Jason such a big deal then when Jason's not even in this movie? And so then people go on to say whenever they did, it was such a big hit that whenever they did sequels, they had to make Jason a person. And so what's been explained to me is like the sequels of Friday the 13th, they just completely throw away the original.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I see. I've never had an interest to watch that. Even I don't mean to downplay, but I've never wanted to watch that for some reason.
If you've seen Psycho, then you've seen Friday the 13th.
I didn't see Psycho either. So.
Okay, great. Well, so there we go.
In fact, I'm not really into those kind of movies at all.
Really?
I will, except for one. This might have been recommended to you, and I actually like it a lot. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original from 1973. Not any of the sequels. There are a lot of sequels and a lot of remakes, but the 1973 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is, even though I'm not really into that kind of movie, I really liked that movie. I couldn't believe how much I liked that when I saw it. And I watched it back in the 80s. Then I watched it within the past couple of years. I was like, wow, this is really good. And it's that same kind of style of movie. It falls in that same kind.
I don't know. I think I'm too scared. In this moment, I'm too scared.
Yeah, you probably would be. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
I'm too scared.
Oh, yeah. Don't watch it. If you watch it, don't watch it in the dark. It's
oh no. Oh no.
But honestly, yeah, that's probably why I don't get those. I just don't understand the. I don't know. It's just not a big thing for me. Those kind of movies.
I like to be scared.
I
wish I had more of a reason to give you.
I hate to say this, but I've actually seen so much actual real brutal death on the internet that looks really tame. There used to be a website that it recently came down called two of them, rotten.com and bestgore.com. And rotten.com had real life photos of people that had suffered major accidents, being shot, killed. I mean, it was gruesome. These were there, and then the bestgore.com showed actual footage of people being shot, killed, and brutally murdered. So I would go there every once in a while. Once you go there, these other movies look tame in comparison. They really do. There's a pretty nasty world out there, obviously.
You okay?
I hope so.
like
like I said, I didn't go there a lot. I just once in a while, but it's
it's enough for you to know that it got taken down recently. So
yeah, well, I went down there. The guy's trying to sell the best score. He's trying to sell it because I guess he ran out of money or something. But it's yeah. The two things I've learned is don't ever mess with the Mexican drug cartel, and don't ever mess with ISIS. They will definitely brutally kill you in as many ways as painfully as possible.
Well, I mean, I haven't exactly heard like that they're nice. So
their videos are, yeah, I'm not going to get into them. They were pretty gruesome stuff.
Oh my God. Lord. The worst I've ever seen is one time I got a speeding ticket, so I went to driving school and they show you car crashes.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Oh, those are pretty bad.
And are they real people that got injured, or is it fake? Are they real? Oh wow.
It's it real.
It sounds like what was probably on the websites I saw.
It real scary. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket since, I'll tell you that.
I guess it works.
Well,
the only thing I will say, some of the movies, some of the reviews, always I don't always was okay. Some of the movies like that, I was kind of phasing out because I didn't really hate it, but I didn't really like it either. It was an okay movie. At the end, his wife, or was it wife or girlfriend or fiance? She goes off with the other guy. She ends up being with the other guy at the end, right?
because Richard Dreyfuss's character gets killed in a plane crash.
Right. I mean, I've seen the movie. I have seen the movie.
Yeah.
But I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it recently. I saw your review. I just couldn't remember how it ended. But I thought that was kind of a weak ending. I don't know. I don't know how else could you end it.
So Richard Dreyfuss ends up being like the guardian angel over her, and she gets her pilot, her wings or whatever, and
he
does the job that he died doing, and she's like really good at it.
But the guy he was also helping, that's the guy she goes off with at the very end or how did that work? Did she go off with him?
Mm-hmm. They ended up together.
Okay. Yeah, because that seemed kind of weird.
Let it go of her. It was a whole story about how he was like, oh, absolutely not. And then he had to come to terms with being dead. And that's kind of how that ended.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like remember not really caring for it too much. It's like
love story.
It's well, I mean, I love stories. I just like it when they get together at the end and they live happily. It's like they don't live happily. It's like there's no happy ending there. It's like I mean, not really. He's not with her. Yeah, but I know, but he didn't get to be with her.
But he learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the love stories when they come together.
Oh, well, always is not it for you.
Definitely not. Now, I don't think we talked about any of the Mel Brooks movies that you watched.
Oh my God, so good.
How do you feel about Blazing Saddles? A lot of people have brought that up lately because it's so politically incorrect. And the one thing I've heard several people say is they could not make a movie like that today at all.
No, they couldn't. They really couldn't, because even the way I reacted, I understood where it was going, and I think the movie is hilarious. I have recommended it, honestly, going back to 2 hours and 15 minutes ago when you brought up, you mentioned like, what made you popular, what gave you subscribers. It's Blazing Saddles, my Blazing Saddles review.
Oh, was it? Oh,
that was the first video that got over 100,000 views. When we were scrolling through my videos earlier, I didn't realize it, but it's my first video past 300,000 views. That's where people started finding me. And I thought the movie was hilarious. And I understand, like, where's the white women at? Like, like, I get it. It's so absurd because it's making fun of those stereotypes. It's making fun, like, but even the way I handled it by like laughing at it. And I mean, I had to censor out some of the words because, well, one, I don't want YouTube to take me down. Right. I don't want to upset anyone who might watch my review and think I'm being insensitive, and so people commented, they're like, young people these days just don't know how to take a joke. Like, no, I think it's funny, but that person might not. I don't want to offend them. I still wanted to be respectful. So even though I said that I think the movie's hilarious, my reaction still wasn't as open as some people wanted it to be. Now, I went back and watched some of the other Blazing Saddle reviews from that's the only movie I have gone and watched other people's reactions to it. And some people really light it on fire. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they would ever make something like this. I can't believe they said what they said. Oh my, and I'm just like, then you're missing the whole point of the movie, in my opinion.
Wow. How many out of the ones that you saw, the other reviews, were they more angry, or were they were more of them understanding, or how did that pan out?
Only one was like angry and like went off at the end about like, you're darn right. Well, didn't say darn, but was like, you're right. This couldn't be made today because now we understand that no matter what you look like, your life has value and matter, and nobody should ever be talked to like this. I can't believe that they would belittle the things that happened back then. And I'm like, whoa, I think you're taking a movie and you throwing it way out there, buddy. And then you have other people that were scared to say either way. Does that make sense? Like they weren't angry, but they weren't going to say, they didn't say it was funny either.
They didn't want to come across as they maybe they would be comfortable with saying those words, and so they were afraid that people might take it the wrong way in that way.
Yes, I think so. Like if on my review, when certain words are dropped, I edit in dolphin noises.
Yes, I know.
And so I kept those scenes in. I just edited out that word with dolphin noises. And then, I have my facial expressions or whatever, but some reactors completely left it out, and they got called out in the comments. They're like, why would you review this movie to leave out the parts we need you to mention? Some people, but then other people, I thought it was hilarious and they loved it. It's such a mixed bag of reviews because you don't, or at least I didn't want anyone to be offended, but I wanted to watch the movie. And when people were like, oh, she gets it, they were cool. But then you also have people that were like, you don't know what good humor is, and people can't take a joke. And I'm like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Are we taking it a little too serious? Like,
no, I've heard Mel Brooks say that his kind of humor is intend to offend. He intends to offend people. That's and he's, as far as I know, he's never apologized for anything he's done. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a lot of people out there that I've heard that like recently, like Howard Stern. I don't know if you ever listened to Howard Stern. Started apologizing for all the things that he said on the air.
Howard Stern did?
Yeah, he's been apologizing. He even came out with a book where he's apologizing for all the things that he said. And he would say stuff like that. He actually used the N-word on his show for the same kind of reason, though, to make fun of it. Back in the 90s, I used to listen to it a lot, and not him, but mostly the people that would come onto his show. And it's the same kind of thing. And he's who else was it? Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy has also apparently come out and apologized for some of the things he's done in the past.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
They're so afraid that people are going to come after them for things that they've done that they just are now apologizing. I don't know if anyone else has, but Mel Brooks, not one of those people. He stands strong. He's like, no, I'm not. That's my humor is intended to do that. Originally, I don't know. Do you know who Richard Pryor is?
I've heard that name before.
He was one of the original writers for the movie, and he would do that kind of humor up on stage. And I think he was in the original script writing, but then like left for whatever reason. And I think he was originally supposed to play the part of Bart. So it was going to be him and the one you kept on saying was cute. Gene Wilder.
Yes. Yes.
You kept on saying Gene Wilder was cute over and over.
Listen, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I can't explain that one, but like, yeah. I don't know why. Of all the people, why him? Don't know. I don't question it.
The interesting thing about that is with Richard Pryor is, I don't know if you know, but Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor were in like at least 4 different movies together.
Really?
So, yeah, and they usually played like their buddies or doing something together. One was Busting Loose, I think it was. Another was I can't remember that right now off the top of my head, but it would have been it probably would have been the first movie where they actually worked together if he had actually gotten the part. But apparently Richard Pryor at the time was too controversial, so they had to pull him out. That's why they put Cleavon Little in instead. And Cleavon Little does a great job. I think he's awesome.
I think it was a great movie.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't understand why people got so upset about. I could understand people getting super upset with that kind of sense of humor if he picked on one group of people the entire time, and then in the next movie, but I mean, he jabs everybody multiple times. Everybody, no one is safe with Mel Brooks. And I think that's why I could find it funny, because it wasn't just one specific group of people or one whatever. No one's safe with Mel Brooks. You're going to get made fun of. Like, I thought it was funny.
Oh, it was great. I love that movie. I've watched it multiple times. I haven't seen it recently, but I have watched it several times.
So,
one of the things I will say, because some of these movies were a little older or too old for me to see when I was in the theater. Some of them I actually saw the censored version first. So in the during the 80s, that was obviously they would censor words like bitch, suck. You couldn't say the word suck back then. They'd censor everything. And so when I eventually got around to seeing the uncensored, the original version, I was like, oh, that's what they're saying.
It's a lot of words.
And I actually saw the censored version, if you can believe it, of that movie. It was like, wow, that was heavily censored. They censored almost every single word in there.
Trying to think about seeing that censored. Is there a movie left?
And then there's the fart scene where they're eating the beans.
I die.
In the censored version of the movie, there's no sound at all. It's just them eating. They're just sitting there eating for like a couple minutes. Nothing. There's absolutely no sound whatsoever. So when I was like, what is this? What is the point of this scene? And I finally saw the original version. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah, if there's no sound in that scene, they should have just cut that out. That's the whole purpose.
I was like, and also touching on that, during one of the movies that tried to remedy that a little was the movie Ghostbusters. They knew that their movie would be censored once it got to the onto public TV, or on a national TV show or channel like NBC, ABC, or whatever. I don't know if you know this, but they would actually film two scenes so that one scene was made for the theatrical release. One scene would be made that was going to be aired on the televised version, and that scene would be censored. But they did that so they would still have creative control over what the scene was about. That way, a censor wasn't going in and bleeping everything. They could actually create a scene of their own, which was censored at the way they wanted it to be censored.
I love that. That's brilliant.
To give you an example, with the reason I brought up Ghostbusters, there's a scene when Bill Murray, he comes on and he says, "We came, we saw, we kicked its ass." Mm-hmm. That's, I don't know if you know, that's from General Patton. He said that we came, we saw, we conquered during World War II. That was one of his lines. So he's basically paraphrasing off of that and making it more humorous. Oh, anyway, in the televised version, he comes out. Bill Murray says something like, "What a knockabout pure fun that was."
Stop. That is so funny. That is hilarious to me. What a snarky thing to put in there.
Yeah, and it's like the whole movie is like that. If you go on YouTube, you'll find them, because nowadays, it doesn't really matter. Censorship is not that bad, but back then it was really bad during the 80s. And there's obviously the scenes when they're talking about Walter Peck, and he's dickless. I don't remember what the scenes they obviously didn't let that go through.
I gotta look that up too. I gotta look up the censored version of Ghostbusters now. That's hilarious.
And I don't think you can find those. I don't think they released those like on DVD either. It's like the scenes you're seeing are people that recorded it on VHS or whatever, that are uploading the older copies. I don't think you can find it in any other place. But it's anyway. It was just one of those interesting facts. I
look it up.
I think maybe Caddyshack did that too, but I'm not 100% sure. I know there are a couple of scenes that were added in that were not in the original movie when they released it. This is another thing they used to do with movies, is when it was released on commercial television, they would add scenes that were not in the theatrical release, but they would only do it on the commercial version, which is really strange.
I was going to say, why?
It was to extend the runtime of the movie, so they could, so the movie would fill the slots better. So it would run. Back then, they used to run movies for like 3 hours. So it started at 8:00. So it started at 8:00 at night, and it would end at 11:00, and then you'd go right into the 11:00 news.
Lord.
in order to extend the movie to make it longer, they would actually put scenes back in that were deleted.
Oh.
And when you see the movie, you said you're going to watch Aliens, right?
Mhm.
You'll probably see the scene you'll probably see the more modern version, because there's a scene that's crucial. I'm not going to give it away. There's a scene that's crucial that was completely removed, but during the 1980s, they added it back in for the commercial version. I was like, what? I've never seen this before, and I was like, that scene being removed actually made the movie make more sense. And I was like, why did they remove it in the first place? And then later on, they re-released it on DVD and called it the director's cut. I always found it so strange that they showed it on the commercial version of television,
But not the theater.
yeah, and it was like, and that's one of my, it's also one of my, like, my favorite movies. So, and I recorded that, so I was able to play it a couple of times. Like, wow, it's like it really added to the whole story. Like, I want to tell you some more, but I don't want to give anything away.
Oh,
But it's really relevant, because once if you don't see it, you're like, why is she, why is this person doing this in this movie? Because she doesn't have, there's no reason for her to go do that when she didn't do that earlier on. But
I see what you mean.
they explain, when you see it, you go, okay, now I understand why well, I'm giving the gender away, but why that person did that. It's like, like I said, it just makes the movie make more sense. It flows. Yeah, it gives purpose. Exactly.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, and the other, obviously, maybe you don't know about this. The Star Wars movies, you do know that you're seeing a heavily modified. Okay.
I didn't know that until, of course, I didn't know that because I didn't do any research. But when I posted it, yes, people told me all the differences about that.
Yeah, especially the first one. That's like majorly edited. The second one, not so much. The Empire Strikes Back, there's not very many scenes added to that one.
That's my favorite one so far. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Oh, that's my favorite as well. It is.
good.
This is kind of interesting. I don't know how true this is, but I read on the internet one time, and I can't cite a source, is that there is actual literally CGI from the original 1977 version of that movie in the movie from 77. And it's that scene where they show the Death Star at the very end. They're showing a computer generated image of it. That's supposedly very early CGI. So, but people say that, well, they added CGI. You can always say, well, technically it was already in there from the beginning, but yeah, it's the scene where they're showing they have to run that, they how do they do that? They have the fighters ready. They're preparing them to go.
They're going through the
The trench. They're showing the trench run, and they show the little animation on there. That's CGI. So,
wow, I didn't know that.
yeah. As far as I know, they've never actually re-released the. Supposedly, Lucas refused to release the original version of the movie, so now that Disney owns it, I don't know. Maybe they will. I don't know how that works exactly. But apparently, I heard he still has some rights left over. Even though they own it, he still retains some of the rights in some way. So maybe it won't be released. I don't know how that works exactly. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm just a casual fan. So I say that because there are people out there. I'm sure you got them in the comment section. Oh, they know everything, and it's almost to a very scary level. And
And I am not passionate about anything as much as those people are.
oh yeah.
I don't think I'm emotionally intelligent enough to be that passionate about anything.
Did you watch the third one? You did watch the third one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't, that one I didn't really like as much.
What's its title? I don't remember.
Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi.
If I had to rank them, it would be Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, then the first one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So I would go Empire Strikes Back for me, number one. The first one, Star Wars, which they now call A New Hope.
A New Hope. That's what I couldn't remember. A New Hope.
Yeah, when that movie came out, it wasn't called A New Hope. I don't know if you know that. It was just called Star Wars. It didn't have any episode number or anything. So, but anyway, they gave it a name after the other ones became popular, obviously. I would say that would be second, and then Return of the Jedi. I don't even know if I'd give it a third, because I found that one. There was an ongoing thing before the prequels came out. There were a lot of people like me that just like it was just not that good to us. We liked the first two, But the third one, it was just there were too many Muppets, as they say, and the story was a little too disjointed because you have one story at the beginning and another story at the end, and they're kind of like mashed together. You know, the first half of the movie is rescuing Han, then the second half of the movie is battling the Death Star. And George Lucas even stated that the Jabba the Hutt's palace was what the was what he was redoing the cantina scene from the original movie. So he said this is what the cantina scene would have been like if he had done it the correct way in the first place.
Oh.
And he even said that the Death Star battle in Return of the Jedi was what the original one would have been like if he had the ability to do it originally. So basically, he's just rehashing too much. And a lot of people complain about that, and I do too. It's just like they're bringing back too much, whereas the second movie is original and it's like completely different from the first, but it's still very good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first, and also the third one comes back and it's more like a roller coaster ride. It's more like it's there's no tension during the final scene. You know they're going to survive. You know they're going to make it. And the original plot, Gary Kurtz, who was a producer in the first two movies, who left because of creative differences, said that it was going to be a much darker movie, and Han Solo was supposed to die originally, and that there wasn't going to be a Death Star scene at all. And Luke, they were going to actually lose at the end. They weren't going to win. It was going to be, and Leia was going to be going off to formulate how she was going to battle the remains of the Empire, and Luke was going to go off on his own or something. So I don't. That's obviously we'll never know what it is, but it sounded more interesting than what we got.
Than what happened. Yeah, I agree with that.
And a lot of people hate the Ewoks too, and I didn't really. There is one scene from the movie that I did like. That's when Vader and Luke confront the Emperor. I thought that scene was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. But other than that, I'm not really a big fan of that third movie. I don't hate it, but I don't really go out of my way to say I like it either. So.
Oh, that makes sense. I respect that opinion.
Thank you.
It works.
The first movie came out. I guess I was 77, so I was 8 years old when the first one came out. So I was thrilled by that one. So I remember I have the memories of being a tiny kid when that came out. I don't remember when the second one came out. I actually thought the second one was boring. So as an adult, though, I came back and that's why I appreciated it more and thought it was a better story. Because I was only like 10 years old at the time when the second one came out, 10 or 11. So, and then by then I was also phasing out. I didn't really care for Star Wars that much. But that's when the other people I noticed were still really heavily involved.
Mm.
Oh, and then, well, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but during the late 80s, Reagan loved to capitalize on the word Star Wars. That by the time Reagan was in office from 80 to 88, 89, by 1985 and 86, when you said Star Wars, nobody thought about the movie anymore. It was actually about the Star Wars defense program. And so it actually faded away. Star Wars faded away pretty quickly after that.
Wow.
And so Reagan used the word Star Wars for his strategic defense plan. They were going to put satellites in orbit that would supposedly defend us from whatever. And he kept on calling it Star Wars. That Star Wars became associated with that.
Oh, no.
Movie. And it wasn't until later on when the prequels came out, when Reagan finally got out of office and then into the 90s that people started associating it with the movie again. It was really strange.
That's weird.
And Lucas got really pissed off apparently that he did that to his movie. He couldn't do anything about it either.
Right.
And it was just so funny. It's like obviously you weren't around, but it's just a lot of people. I remember that. It was like I'm sure a lot of other people remember that as well. It's just it wasn't. You said Star Wars. It's like nope, we're not talking about the movies. We're talking about this other thing. And it was Star Wars was actually it faded away to obscurity. It was really weird. I don't remember during the late 80s hardly anyone liking Star Wars that much, except for really a small group of people. It wasn't until the prequels came out later that it started to become popular again.
Huh.
I'm not saying people forgot about it, but there was if you started talking about it, you were looked down as oh, you're a nerd.
Well, listen, it do be like that sometimes, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes.
I can't think of any other anything that's so popular that just faded away and came back like that though. So,
No idea.
uh, of the Princess Bride. I don't think we talked about that at all.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a very good movie. The kid that was what's that?
I loved it. That's all. Was that I loved it?
Yeah. Wasn't Men in Tights? Did you discuss Men in Tights at all?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
That is on the list. It's coming up, but I have not watched it yet.
Okay. Okay. There's a small correlation between the two. That's all. I won't give anything else away. Is it I don't know, what's his name? Played Columbo, was the grandfather. Peter Falk.
Oh.
Yeah. He was well known at that point when I came out. Everyone that I know of always thought of Columbo, the TV show Columbo, when it came out. He was. I actually like that movie. It was just so different because I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that at the time. As far as it was comedy, and it was like telling an old like an old tale, a love story. It was done so differently. It really stood out. I can't think. Nothing was like ever been done like that before. I think that's a Rob Reiner film as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Columbo or the other one?
Princess Bride.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Columbo was the old TV show. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Okay. I thought it was so fun. I liked how, it was the movie, or I mean, what? It was the granddad telling the book story, and then it would go into the book story and then like into real world. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. The way you're describing that, it almost comes across like the movie Never Ending Story. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Either.
Oh, okay.
See, and that's why my channel started.
It's not like it really matters, but I had a cousin who was he played the main character in Never Ending Story Part 2. His name was Jonathan Brandis.
Oh, that's fun.
He was a famous one of those. Unfortunately, he was a famous child actor that killed himself. So he killed himself in 2003, I think it was. So, but he played a lot of different roles, and I don't know why I'm even bringing that up. It's just
you know what? This is a roller coaster. I just buckle up, Buttercup, because it's woo.
Let's get back to Princess Bride.
Oh man, that's crazy. And who played Wesley? That guy?
Oh, yeah, I don't know his name.
Blonde-headed guy. He is also cute. Not Gene Wilder cute, because Gene's in his own category, but just saying.
And who else was in there? The couple, the woman that's in there is also the
ghost in the Scrooged.
Yes.
Carol, what is her name? It's not Carol King, is it? Carol.
And then what's his name, was the man that was with her. Have fun storming the castle. That's the I can't remember his name now. He's a comedian and he's also an actor. I can't remember his name.
That was really funny though. I forgot about that line.
I don't remember. Actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else in that movie that really stood out. I really can't think of anything though. It was just a good movie.
It was just fun.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that really stands out. I mean, Andre the Giant's in there. That's the big guy. That's the tall guy. He was I think he was a wrestler. I think.
Is he a giant?
Yeah, he was the giant guy, the tall guy, the big one.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Yes. And then the guy who had the squeaky voice was on, and I think you said was in the Gifts.
Yes, the guy inconceivable. That guy.
Yes, inconceivable.
Yes.
I can't think something else too. I can't remember. Oh.
I know the princess. is, what is her name? She is the woman.
Oh,
Robin.
no, I don't know. Sorry. I thought I knew for a second there and I forgot.
Anyway, she was on, well, that was a good story, Ashleigh. Glad you told it. Crap, she's just been in a lot of other stuff. She's recently on the Netflix series. It's a political, made-up Netflix series with Frank Underwood, with Kevin Spacey. Well, not anymore, since everything happened.
Sorry. I don't know.
Well, that was great. So glad I told it, and I really committed to it. I recommitted to that, and I still didn't get there.
No, one of the movies that you reviewed, I think I've seen it. And jumping back to the Mel Brooks one, History of the World, Part
Yeah,
1.
Part 1.
I think I saw that once, but I don't know if I saw it all the way through. And that's the one review that I know for a fact I have not seen of yours on that. So I don't know. I have no idea how you felt about that. But did you like it?
Yeah, I did, because he just takes you back to the beginning of time, and it's just absurdity. I mean, he pokes fun at Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles, poking fun at everything. He pokes fun at everybody again, and then pokes fun at organized religion. It's just funny about how the world was created, and then how people evolved, and speech was made, and relationships were formed, and the fall and rise of the Roman Empire. It's funny. In my opinion, it's funny. It's a musical, got a lot of songs in there.
I don't think there was ever a sequel, was there? I mean, no. Okay.
And that's part of the joke too, is like Part 1, but there's nothing after it.
Yeah, okay. There's another movie that did something like that with Bill Cosby. It was called Leonard Part 6. And the joke was supposed to be that there was no other, but they couldn't release the other ones. I would not recommend that movie, by the way. Leonard Part 6. He plays some sort of, I had to stop watching it halfway through because it was so bad.
Oh.
Anyway, it's the same. Well, the reason I brought it up, it has the same idea that there was no other parts. You were watching Part 6, but there were actually no other parts to watch. So
I get it.
Yeah. I got to watch. I'd have to watch it again. I may have watched it on a commercial version of History of the World Part 1. Getting back to that, but honestly, I don't remember. It's been so long. It might have been back in the 80s. So
what part? History of the World?
Yeah, History of the World Part 1. Yes, I'm not sure. So I can't comment on it. I really can't. I do remember some of the, when you said that, I do remember some of those scenes popping back in with the Romans and everything.
It starts out with cavemen, and oh my god, cavemen, and then it develops from there. I think it's Romans, and it just, there's one scene with the cavemen, and it's like, from here, man saw a woman and wanted her, and so he comes out of the cave and like boinks her over the head with a stick, and then drags her into the cave, and you just assume like that's how the first relationship was formed. And then it was like, not only did they like women, but man discovered man. And the same scene happens again, boinks a man on the head and drags him back into the cave, and it's like, thus homosexuality was born. And anyways, it's just absurdity the entire time. Like, you laugh the entire time.
Who was oh yeah, Dom DeLuise. That's what I said. Dom DeLuise is in that as well.
Yes.
The guy, yeah.
Yes.
He's always playing like some sort of comedic thing. He's in a lot of his, I think, a lot of Brooks movies. So he wasn't in Blazing Saddles. Maybe was he? No.
I don't know, if I'm honest with you.
And then, of course, there's Spaceballs. Did you know? I don't know if you know this. Have you heard of The Fly?
People have been suggesting that to me, but I just haven't. I haven't done it yet.
Okay, well, if you want to do it, that's fine. There's different versions of The Fly. Let me get back to. I'll get back to Spaceballs in a second. But there's actually a connection. Mel Brooks actually was the head producer of the second The Fly, or Fly 2 or whatever it was. There was the 1950s version of The Fly. Then they remade it in the 80s, and then he produced the second one, which was really strange. I didn't know this till recently, and because he's usually does comedy, he asked that his name not be put in the credits so people would not know he didn't want people to think it was a comedy, so he purposely had his name removed from the credits, just to make sure people knew it was a horror movie.
Oh, well, I mean, at least he knew enough about himself to request that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But it's obviously Spaceballs is. You mentioned John Candy. Did people correct you, or not really correct you, but you said he died recently?
Yeah, so that was a big mistake. That is not recent. Yeah. So when I watched Spaceballs, I was like, oh, that guy's really funny, and they're like, R.I.P. John Candy, and I just assumed that it was recent. And if about 25 years ago, that means recent, then yeah, it was recent. But by most people's concept of time, that is not recent. And I got lit on fire for that one.
I was I didn't say I didn't leave any comments obviously, but I
Should.
caught that right away, and I went down when I saw you, when I heard you do that, I went down to the comments, and sure enough I saw several people saying basically the same thing.
That's okay. You know what? I asked for that. I didn't do my research because why would I? Like, I wouldn't be me if I came prepared for anything. So, whoops.
And you like Spaceballs, right?
Yeah, from what I understood, of course, now that I've seen Alien, I understand a major part of that movie.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. You hadn't seen Alien yet when you saw it, but obviously you caught the correlation between Star Wars, obviously.
Yes, I did get that. I didn't get the Alien reference. Now I do. But apparently there's a Planet of the Apes reference that I still don't understand.
Oh, you haven't seen Planet of the Apes?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, why are there monkeys on horses?
Okay. If you, I would recommend seeing, if you're gonna do that, yeah, the 1968 Planet of the Apes. That is, in my opinion, this is obviously everyone has their own opinion, but the three best science fiction movies ever made. I would say that's one of the best ever made. If I had to pick three, the Planet of the Apes, the 1968 one.
Okay.
The other two would be the miniseries I told you called V from
Mm-hmm.
1982, and then Battlestar Galactica from 2003. They made a miniseries. That is also the best science. Those are the three best science fiction movies, if you call the other two movies, because they're more like miniseries. But of all time, if I had to pick three, those would be my three. And definitely, I'd highly recommend Planet of the Apes. There were like four sequels. They don't live up to the original. So, yeah.
Well, when you start going that deep into sequels, you're starting to risk a little bit of something.
At the time it came out, they didn't make sequels apparently.
Oh.
So the idea, if it was unheard of to make a sequel, but the movie was so popular, they decided let's go ahead and make a sequel, and they merchandised the hell out of that thing. I remember when I was a kid, you could buy Planet of the Apes toys everywhere and lunch boxes and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, they ran it into the ground and it became unpopular after a while. Yeah, the original movie. Anyway, the getting back to Spaceballs, you do know that the alien scene, obviously you know the reference now. You saw that was the same actor, right?
I put it together now. Yeah.
Okay. John Hurt reprised his role for that scene. So
I love that.
And who's Lone Star? I forget his name now.
Oh Lord, don't be asking me.
I can't remember his name now. He played. Have you seen Independence Day?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well I won't give anything away then.
Yeah.
And Princess Vespa, yeah, she wasn't really in anything else I could think of.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
There was a lot of what was that George Lucas said that apparently he made a deal with Mel Brooks that Mel Brooks was not allowed to sell any merchandise whatsoever.
I read about that.
Okay, you saw it too. Okay.
Somebody linked it to me.
Okay. And that the one of the jokes in the movie was that there's merchandise all over the place. That's why he emphasizes it so much in the movie, because he wasn't allowed to do it in real life.
That's so funny. I think that's so petty, but like funny. I support it.
There was actually wasn't really that good either. They made Mel Brooks came out with an animated version of the show recently. I'm talking within the past 5, maybe 10 years at the most. It was a continuation of Spaceballs, and he reprised the role of the president. Um, and Princess Vesma, she might have the actual woman who played her. She might have reprised her. It was a TV series. It didn't do very well. I tried to watch one episode and it wasn't funny, so I just stopped watching
I'm gonna have to try and find it online.
I think they wrote out a lot of the main characters.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, it was just one of those silly trivia things. But the interesting thing about it was actually done by Mel Brooks. A lot of times when you see those, you don't see, it's not done by the same people.
Right. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it online then.
Yeah, you could probably. In fact, it's so unpopular that you could probably find it on YouTube.
Sad.
When something's so unpopular, they don't usually worry about the copyrights anymore. Okay, well, I'm guessing I'm going to go ahead and if you want to wrap everything up here.
Yeah, sure.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks for having me on.
If you'd like to do it again sometime, it'll be fun. But we discuss more movies and things. But yeah, I hope we touched on enough of the things that I touched on everything I could think of. There was anything else you could think of that you wanted to touch on or talk about?
No, I feel like we talked about all the movies. We talked about me raising pigs. Again, that roller coaster we were on. I feel like we made it.
We survived.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, anything you'd like to promote as far as I have a link to your channel. As I think I put your Patreon in there as well.
Yeah. That's brand spanking new. Patreon is, and that's where if you or viewers from here like one of my reviews, but you want to see a full length, I have full length reviews on there. I have watch alongs on there. All that jazz, polls for what I'm going to watch next. All that jazz is there.
So when you say watch alongs, do you mean like you're watching it live?
Not right now. The watch along would be, it's edited like you would have to have a copy of that movie, and I show like the first little bit so you can sync it up with me. So you have to have your own copy, and you sync it up. It's me watching the full movie, but you have to have your own copy. I think I might start doing live streams once I get a better understanding of Patreon and how it works. I'll probably start doing live streams where it is a live watch along for just patrons only. But right now, watch alongs are just the same movie, just you have to have your copy of it and just play me, sit me down beside you on the couch.
Okay. Obviously, you'd have to be a little careful with the idea that some people might have a different version than yours.
Yeah, and you want to know something? That goes back to the whole me not being prepared for anything. I just kind of make stuff and hope for the best at this point.
I can imagine someone watching the Blues Brothers with that 18 minutes of video, and all of a sudden they're like, you're commenting, and like, wait a minute, where are you in this movie? I just lost you.
Yeah, and somebody asked me that about I think it was Alien. They were asking me about that, and honestly, I had to go and look. I had to go look which one I had, and because I forget that's a thing. So I'm still learning the ins and outs. I think I'll figure it out eventually. But until then, everybody just has a one-way ticket on the Hot Mess Express.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job. I mean,
thanks.
I watch everything you put out, so almost. Except for History of the World Part 1, I still watch.
Understandably.
And like I said, I get a little phased out when I see the Goonies or Bette Midler. So sorry.
To each his own. Even if it's wrong, it's fine. You watched Beans in her witch hat, and that's all that matters to me.
Yes, I did see that. Oh, and I also got to see Hubby too in at least one episode.
Yes, he was in Home Alone, and I think he's going to make another. Well, I haven't asked him yet, but I'm going to ask him if he'll make another appearance in a February review. So,
okay, does he like it? I didn't. Does he like? I forgot. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember his reaction, to be honest.
Oh, Home Alone is his favorite movie ever. So we did it as in me watching it for the first time. His favorite movie, and so February will be another one of his favorites. And our schedules are so different, but so his schedule is just so weird. It's really hard for us to sync up to watch something that we're both interested in. So I came to it from the standpoint of like watching his favorites with him.
Okay.
As of right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to that one too, of course. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything else, but yeah. Everyone, please make sure to watch Ashleigh Burton. She's awesome, and I like I said, I have the link for her channel is in the description below. So all you have to do is click on that. And thanks for being on. Hang on there before we go there. So
okay, I'll stick around.
okay, cool. And thanks everyone.